kids.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull out game weak. Yeah. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up and catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face.
Hello, everyone.
Like
how are you doing?
Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside.
Someone was talking about this in the chat.
This P word is wet.
It got stuck in my head, so I had to listen to it.
It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar. Talk your S-word, bite your lip, ask for a call while you ride that P-word. You really ain't never gonna F him for a thing. He already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet-ass P-word. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet-ass P-word. Right, so, this is, guys, this is what feminists fought for. This is what the feminist movement was all about.
Oh, no, he didn't.
That's never not funny to me. How are you all doing today on this Wednesday afternoon or evening, wherever you happen to be? I hope you're doing well. Oh, this is just an article I was reading on my own free time. You don't necessarily need to see that. It's about Doctor Who. Today we're doing a wheel stream. We're going to be doing whatever the Wheel of Privilege tells us to do, so it should be fun. We're just gonna hang out and, you know, watch some fun videos. Fun. Depends on what we get, I guess. So what do we have on the wheel? We have Karens, Sovereign Citizens, Conspiracies, Creationism, Cleanse, Chuds, Flat Earth, Incels, and Cringe. So, we're gonna see what's going on. Did I see the Discord someone put his face on Cardi B in the music video? I did. I did see that. The Wheel of Privilege? Yeah, that's what we were calling it when it was just Sovereign Citizens and Karens. If we start with the Cleanse, can we listen to that song again? I don't know if people want to listen to it twice in a row. So anyway, I guess let's see. Oh, Wheel of Entitlement, that's what it was. Not Wheel of Privilege, I'm sorry. They're close. Wheel of Entitlement. Oh, God. Fine. We can listen to it again. God damn it. God, I am so warm today, and I don't know why.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word.
Hi, Daddy Sume. Welcome to the stream.
Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet. Come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar.
Oh, Ben. Why do? Alright. Wheel of Entitlement. Give me something other than Ben Shapiro singing the WAP song. Karen. Okay, we can do Karens. Arcanist Amber Blackwell says, got in an argument with a disingenuous conservative about, quote, the negative implications, end quote, of adopting renewables on mass scale, and I was just baffled. Do these people not realize that if we don't do this, the entire global economy and ecosystem will collapse, causing mass extinctions and displacement? Yeah, they don't believe that, though. They don't believe that's gonna happen. It is gonna happen, but they don't believe it. They're very, very stupid. Daddy Sume with a bit. Mobility Mary. Give us Mobility Mary. I don't want to do her. Cosmic Sean 92.
Nothing funny about the tools.
Thank you for your subscription. I appreciate it. Karen, not allowed to board Southwest flight. Assuming she refuses to wear a mask or something if this was recent.
Okay.
So we can either rebook you guys for a later flight, where you would still be required to wear your mask, or we can just fully refund your tickets, whichever you prefer.
Well, I would like to see in writing your policy that states that a person...
Southwest.com.
No, because I called to them. Here it is in writing right here. So it's in writing that you do not discriminate in these cases. So now you are breaking federal law, federal civil
Nope.
law. I just want you to understand, you're a younger generation than I am.
Oh God, here it comes. Back in my day, we didn't care about whether or not people lived or died. So you should let me on this enclosed air recycling container in the sky full of 100 other people that I can infect with coronavirus because I refuse to wear a mask. Fuck off. Cosmic Sean 92. Your top is cute as fuck, just saying. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I can't believe you want to live in a country like this where people cannot board a flight without wearing a mask.
Lady, what do you not understand about global pandemic? Is it the word global or the word pandemic? Or when you put them together, does it just confuse your brain? I don't understand what these people don't get. You do not have the right to endanger other people. Period. In public health crises, the government has broad powers in order to help keep the population safe and to slow infections. You do not have the right to hurt other people by being an entitled bitch. You just don't. Welcome to society. Put on your Joker makeup if you must, but put a mask on over it.
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
Professor Daddy 1118, thank you for subscribing. 3-month streak. Neat 3 months. Very cool. Thank you. Dude Spanking Dudes has a link for Chuds.
There's nothing funny about
In a
the
world
tools
that's
of
so material.
capitalism.
Oh, God. Yeah, we can probably watch that if we get Chuds. Daddy Sume, Hannah, I love your rants. I just hate everyone. I hate everyone in the world.
That's breaking civil law. I understand.
It's breaking civil law. What? You were talking about, like, your rights. Your rights are not civil law. What are you talking about? That's constitutional law.
That's what the Nazis said. That's right. I just followed the order.
That's what the Nazis said. Literally, me wearing a small piece of cloth on my face is tantamount to the systematic genocide of 6 million Jewish people and millions of other people, whether they be gay, or whether they were Romani, or whether they were disabled, whatever. Literally, you telling me I don't have the right to get on a plane full of other people and respect them by wearing a mask, if I have to do that, it's the same as a genocide. Very self-aware. Furia Ferna with 100 bits. So I found out my dad is a Karen. Apparently he got in a fight with a Walmart employee. He smokes, so he has breathing problems, and he refuses to wear a mask. He ranted for it for like an hour last night. People saved me. Did you tell him to fuck off? Did you tell him to, too bad? I guess you hurt your own health. If you can't wear a mask and go inside, then order your groceries for pickup or delivery. These people, man, they're the worst.
So I just want to educate you, Lindsay. You seem like a very nice girl, and I just want
to educate you. Listen, lady, you talking to this woman, this poor woman who's just working for Southwest, not gonna change the policy. Your entitlement is not going to change the fact that we are in the midst of a global pandemic. Oh, we're on a hype train. I didn't even notice. 82% of the level 1 hype train. The narcissism. We have it's like a cancer in this country. This entitled, narcissistic, malignant behavior. And it needs to be excised. And I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know how you go about, like, educating people who are already like this to stop behaving this way, or at the very least to disincentivize this behavior. But it's absurd. Clearly the shaming isn't working. So what do you do? What do you do when you have a disease in your country that is made up of selfish, narcissistic individuals who refuse to play their part in society, who refuse to accept that they are not the most important person in every room they walk into? What do you do? I don't know. Furia Ferna, thank you for gifting a sub. I appreciate that.
Let everybody know, because, you know, I stand for what I believe in, and this is...
All right, and you can stand for that as you get on your bus. Actually, probably not even a bus. I'm betting Greyhound has a mask policy, too. You can stand up for your beliefs as you're walking to wherever your destination is, or whether you're driving. Go for it. But Southwest Airlines is a private company, and they are allowed to exercise their right to deny service to anyone. You are breaking their policy, therefore, you don't get to fly on the plane. You can't say, I have ultimate rights. I have all the rights but no responsibilities, but you, Southwest Airlines, do not have the right to tell me I can't fly on your plane. Either everyone has rights or no one has rights. It's kind of how rights work. Cherry Tree Boy, thank you for subscribing. We're about to complete the August sub goal. What are we up to? 94? Yeah, only 6 away. Pretty close. 40% of the level 2 hype train. Greyhound does require masks. Looks like Karen's gonna be driving to whatever location she's going to. Looks like Sacramento. Guess you better go rent a car. Maybe Hertz. I don't know. Either way, get out of the airport. I don't even know why they let this lady to the gate with no mask. There should be a mask policy in the airport in general, much less the airplanes. Thank you, Baja, for 36 bits. I appreciate that.
Peggy Hall from thehealthyamerican.org, and trying to...
Healthyamerican.org. Website expired. Well, that is what it is, I guess.
Board a flight for Southwest, and it's coming to an airline near you, you guys. And the interesting thing is, airlines are...
Do you want to be rebooked for another flight?
That's right. Captain, pick up again.
No, I want my money back. Yeah.
Cool. See? Worked out for everyone. Thank you, Bobcat. Bobcat Hat. Thank you for following. You think this woman, how does she have so little self-awareness? I hope when she posted this video, everyone was like, great, I'm glad you're not on the plane. Let me see if I can find this. Karen Southwest. Karen Southwest flight mask. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-da-da. I imagine this is not an individual experience. I'd imagine a lot of airlines are dealing with these people. Southwest Airlines anti-mask. Mask policy, mask policy, mask policy. This is a different person being forced off their flight. Karen, delusional Karen, tries to get on Southwest flight. This is from a different channel. Do they have a link to the original here? No, wait, is that it? Nope. She might have posted it on Facebook, in fairness, and it just got ripped. I'm not sure. Peggy Hall. Peggy Hall. Southwest Airlines mask. Do 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 do. The Queen of Karens, Peggy Hall, is headed on a flight with you tomorrow. She makes a living off teaching others how to avoid wearing masks, claims breathing is a medical condition. By her comments, it looks like she might be using you for a viral video. Oh, so she wasn't even trying to really get somewhere. She was just doing it intentionally to try and make a point. What an ass. What an absolute ass. So she's not even just a Karen. She's like mother of Karens. She is like telling people not to wear masks. What a monster. Jeez. Where did it go?
Would you like your money back as well, ma'am?
So, as you can see, they are breaking civil law.
Sue them then, please. Try and sue Southwest. Spend all your money trying to sue Southwest Airlines for requiring masks on their private planes in their private business during a global pandemic. I'd love to see the smackdown that would occur if you tried to do that.
Federal civil law, and you're breaking. There is a transportation board that oversees every airline, is regulated by the Department of Transportation, which
Cherry Tree Boy with 100 bits. Hate them Karens.
clearly states that here it is right here in writing. You may not discriminate against.
They're not discriminating. You're just not wearing a mask. It would be like being like, I'm going to take my shirt off during this flight. I'm not going to wear a shirt. And they go, sir or ma'am, whatever they happen to be, you need to wear a shirt on this flight or else we can't have you on the flight. Discrimination! I'm being discriminated against! No, they have policies and they're allowed to enforce them. They're a private company. They're allowed to do that. And even if they weren't a private company, let's say in this country for some reason we had like public airlines that were owned by the government. They could still require you to wear a mask during a global pandemic. These people are so ridiculous. I can't even believe it. Norm can't shoot. Thank you for following. Did we get level 2 hype train, or did we only get level 1 so I can figure out how many hats I gotta wear?
Against any of these people, and you may not harass them. Now, I have to say they didn't harass me, but they actually are ignorant because they don't have the information, and they're ignorant of the fact that the
Flower Girl
airline told
13
me
for
when I booked
5
the flight
bits.
that
Thank you.
masks are not required until Monday. So
they can start enforcing their policy literally whenever they want. It's their company.
I am not flying. I'm not flying.
Be sure to...
Great, leave. That's what I don't get about these people. Like, well then we're not gonna fly. We're gonna leave. We're not gonna patronize your business. Great. We don't want you here. Go away. Wheel of Entitlement. What is next? Oh no! That's not good. Creationism. Kent Hovind. Let's see if there's a good Kent Hovind video, and if not, then I have his dissertation pulled up and we can read the next chapter of that. Certified freak. 7 days a week. Stuck in my head. Stuck in my head now. Creationism. Dissertation. Do we want to do dissertation? Fine. Let me pull it up. Let me change where the window capture's coming from so y'all can see it. Okay. So for those of you who didn't see the last time, whenever we do creationism on the wheel, we've been chipping away at the Kent Hovind dissertation. Last time we did the introduction. This time we're going to be doing chapter 1, which is going to be the history of evolution, which is going to be bad. Let's just say. Kent Hovind, for those of you who don't know, did we not finish that last week? No, that was just the introduction. This is like the first part. We did not read this. So, Kent Hovind, for those of you who don't know, he has a doctorate, and by doctorate, I mean he doesn't have a doctorate. He got his doctorate through this diploma mill, and he wrote this dissertation, lots of air quotes in this one, and it literally starts with, "Hello, my name is Kent Hovind," which is not how you would start a dissertation. He's a creationist. He went to prison for 10 years for like 50-something counts of tax fraud. So he's a felon. He got out of prison a couple years ago, and he's trying to get his grift going again. He's a really awful human being. A kid died at his theme park a while back, and he didn't care, like, at all. He's just a bad guy all around. So, let's see what the first chapter in his dissertation's about. The history of evolution. Yeah, a kid died at his park. They drowned in the pond. And since then, he's been very blasé about it. He's like, oh, the parents should have been watching him, blah, blah, which might be the case. I'm not even disagreeing. But, like, he has no tact at all in discussing the death of a child at his awful theme park. Where in the world did the idea come from that things left to themselves can improve with time? Who would start a crazy idea like that? That's reductio ad absurdum. You're basically taking the big concept that's complicated of evolution and boiling it down to a ridiculous sentence. This idea,
about the tools of capitalism.
Dude spanking dudes with a bit. I remember kids, you can get 40 years for selling weed, but only 10 years for committing fraud. Yeah, it wasn't even one count, it was like 50 counts. This idea is the opposite of everything that we observe in the world today, except literally all animals and how they change over time, and how diseases change over time. It's different than everything we observe in the world today, except the really big thing that I'm talking about, which proves that what I'm saying is wrong. For instance, all the highways in our nation today, left to themselves, decay, deteriorate, and fall apart. Yeah, well, they're inanimate objects, Kent. Do roads either photosynthesize or respirate? Do they take in energy and reproduce and mutate? They don't. So that would be why they don't do that. Entropy is a thing, but entropy applies in closed systems. The road, for instance, it's not taking in energy from anywhere. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting there. So over time, it's going to degrade. But living things, as it turns out, are taking in energy. Where are they taking in energy from? If they're a plant, then they're taking in energy from the sun, which is being converted to energy for them via photosynthesis. If you're an herbivore, you're taking the energy from the plants, eating them, and digesting them into chemical energy for your body. If you're a carnivore, you're doing the same but another level up towards herbivores. If you're an omnivore, you can kind of do a variety of things. So that's the difference. Roads are not the same as living beings because they aren't alive. They don't reproduce. They don't mutate. They don't face like natural pressures that are going to conform to some kind of natural selection as animals do. So that would be the difference. A house left to itself will become a wreck. It takes work and constant planning to make anything improve. Again, if we're talking about inanimate objects in closed systems, your house is a closed system. It isn't taking in energy and doing things with it. Living beings are. They're taking in energy, growing, changing, reproducing, and mutating. These are things your house can't do. Everything tends towards disorder, again, in closed systems, but the Earth is not a closed system. We get light and energy from the sun. The universe itself is a closed system, at least as far as we can tell. So we have this concept of entropy that over time eventually will probably face heat death of the universe, because things are moving further and further apart from each other, and the energy is sort of dissipating outwards. But, yeah, not the same thing as the Earth, which gets energy from the sun, and then allows beings within it to change, grow, reproduce, so forth and so on. Where's the chat? Okay, there we go. Why is entropy so misunderstood commonly? I don't know. You'd have to ask a physicist about that. By the way, photosynthesis and respiration are not mutually exclusive. Plants respire after photosynthesis. Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you, Baha. The first and second laws of thermodynamics are well-established scientific laws that have never been observed in the universe to be broken. That sentence is correct. The first law says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed by ordinary means. Correct, and it isn't. We do not see anything being created today, and yet we do see an entire universe of created material. Yes, this clearly indicates a creator. Nope, you lost me right there. No, it does not. Because literally, the law of thermodynamics says nothing can be created or destroyed. The furthest back we can see in time is the singularity that then expanded because of the Big Bang. That doesn't mean that there wasn't something before that somewhere in some form. We literally cannot see before that point, because that's the beginning of everything we know as time and matter and gravity and electromagnetism. All of it came from that point. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't something else, whatever that means, that it came from. Does that make sense? And if you have to, I shouldn't have to say this, but if you're positing that there is a creator, whether that be the Christian God, as Kent believes, or any other super being, you haven't solved the problem of things not being able to be created or destroyed. You've just moved it up another level. Now you just have to explain, boy, how did this omnipotent, omniscient God being come to be? And he can't just say, well, he's always been. That means nothing. That doesn't mean anything. He's always been. Okay, why has he always been? In what form? And why did he decide to create a universe? There are people in the world today who wish to avoid the concept of God. They do not like the idea of a God telling them what to do. No, like, I'm non-religious. I'm an atheist. If you're religious, that's fine. More power to you. Cool. As long as you're not using it to hurt other people, like any belief system. I don't believe in God, not because it would annoy me that someone was telling me what to do, although I would argue some of the things in the Bible and the things that the God of the Bible says are quite immoral. It's because I think there's a lack of evidence. If there was evidence that a God existed, whether it be the Christian God or some other kind of God, I would believe in that God. I wouldn't necessarily worship them. That's an entirely different conversation altogether. But I recognize things in the observable universe with evidence because I'm a reasonable human being. If there was a God, and there was evidence that there was a God, fine, I'd accept that God existed, but there isn't, so I don't. Therefore, they have to come up with the most dangerous, damnable doctrine ever imagined. Evolution. I would like, in this chapter, to trace the history of evolutionary doctrine. Where did this dangerous doctrine come from? Saying that the concept of evolution is dangerous is like saying that the concept of gravity is dangerous. I'm sure he's going to bring up, like, the idea of eugenics, which is awful. But saying that you don't believe in evolution because eugenics is bad is like saying you don't believe in gravity because dropping bombs on people is bad. People use scientific concepts for all sorts of awful reasons. Maybe a better example would be, I don't believe in an atomic theory because of the nuclear bomb, right? Or saying, I think that atomic theory is evil because nuclear bomb. That's a ridiculous statement. Human beings have a proclivity for using tools for all sorts of different things and plying our understanding to all sorts of different ends. Some of them very good, some of them very evil. But just because tools and understanding can be used to evil ends does not inherently mean that the concepts that we understand themselves are evil. Does that make sense? Like, nuclear fission or nuclear fusion, whatever, can be used for great destruction, and evil, or it can be used to create clean energy for people. Neither informs whether or not the concept of understanding how atoms work and how you can split them or fuse them, neither of those things informs whether that is good or evil or true or not. Irrelevant. Thank you to Vigor6 for following. Evolution is purely a religion. This is what I don't get about Kent Hovind either. He'll use the term religion almost in a derogatory fashion towards evolution while simultaneously espousing the virtue of his own religion. So which is it? Is religion good or bad? You can't just say, well, evolution is just a religion, which it isn't. But my religion's really great. You should actually teach my religion in school instead of evolution. Contradictory. There is no scientific evidence at all to back up any form of macroevolution. Well, Kent, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's incorrect. We have the fossil record, we have genetics, we have literal lab tests where we've seen species evolve. And this distinction, by the way, that creationists will have between, like, macroevolution and microevolution, they describe it like this. They say, well, microevolution exists because, like, a dog can become different kinds of dogs. They have to concede this, of course, because we see all sorts of different, varieties of dogs that have been diversified due to artificial selection by humans, which is more or less the same mechanisms as natural selection, just commandeered by human beings. So they have to concede that. But then they draw an arbitrary line and say, but a dog can't become something that isn't a dog. That's macroevolution. That's different. No such distinction exists. No such distinction exists. Period. End of story. All that they're saying is, well, we see evolution on this smaller scale, but that doesn't mean it exists on a bigger scale, but it literally does. It literally does. If you could see something on the smaller scale happening, you can extrapolate that outwards. There's no walls in terms of evolution. There's nothing saying that if you bred one breed of dog one direction for 50,000 years, and I'm talking about artificial selection, so it's going to go a little quicker, I think, than natural selection, just because you can kind of hone in on intentionally keeping the populations apart and selecting for certain traits. And a different dog breed, a completely different way, for 50,000 years. Maybe you want one, this one's going to live in the Arctic, and it's gonna be like a sled dog, but like a super sled dog. We're going to get them real big and meaty so they can be protected from the cold, and they're going to be rugged. And then we're going to have this one, and they're going to live in the desert, and they're going to maybe get smaller because they need to survive on less food, they need to be able to conserve water more easily, whatever. Those are your goals. If you come back and look after a certain period of time, 50,000 years or whatever, they're not going to look like the same animals. They're not going to be the same species anymore. Microevolution, as they call it, is just macroevolution, but you're looking at it real close on the time scale. If you back up, all evolution is that microevolution from generation to generation. Little tiny changes. Because evolution is not this stair step like creationists often will illustrate. They'll be like, well, a dog's never given birth to a cat. And they think that's how evolution works. Like, one day, a chimpanzee gave birth to, like, a Homo sapien human being. And it's like, well, that's evolution. No. In evolution, when you look from one generation to the generation right after, there'll be very little change. But if you look at the first in a chain, and then you have 1,000 generations, the first one and the last one are going to look very, very different. Even though each subsequent generation in between looks very similar to the one next to it. This is how evolution works. It's a gradient. What else? The technical definition of evolution means change. There is no question that things do change. All change is directed either downward towards less order if left to themselves, or upward with a mastermind behind it. No, not the case. Not the case. Again, in closed systems with non-living beings, yeah, I would agree with you. Your house, if you leave it alone, is gonna decay over time. But if you have animals that are taking in energy from the sun or some other source, there are even deep sea creatures that like get energy from like thermal vents or whatever. As long as you have an external source of energy that you're drawing from, you can grow and change and reproduce. And when things reproduce on planet Earth, because they have DNA, that DNA can have mutations that are going to change what the animal grows to be, what the animal is going to be. And these mutations, as they sort of accumulate over time, create a much different being 100, 1,000, 10,000 generations down the line than you had at the beginning, whatever arbitrary start point you're starting from. A college professor told me that cities evolve with time. I said to him, I agree. If you use this as your definition of evolved, then you're including a design, a designer, and lots of work, planned, intelligent progress, not chaos ordered by itself. Kent Hovind, derailing class because he doesn't understand what colloquial meanings of words mean and that they are different than scientific definitions. Not one of the buildings in your city built itself by the material raising up out of the ground. It did not happen that way. It did not ever happen that way. No one's claiming it did. Those buildings aren't alive. It will never happen that way. It requires intelligence and a designer because you're moving inanimate objects, because you're ordering inanimate objects to be a shelter. They don't grow, they don't change, they don't mutate, they don't reproduce. We're talking about inanimate objects versus animate objects. This has nothing to do with evolution. When I speak of evolution, I am not referring to small minor changes that occur naturally as animals have to make some adjustments to their environment. That's evolution! You got it! Give Kent a round of applause. He basically gets it. That's that. It just happens over really long periods of time. Those tiny adjustments within a species, because let's say, I don't know, let's say, 123 viewers, nice. Let's say, for instance, we're talking about something like eyes. Often people like Kent will talk about what they claim is irreducible complexity. Irreducible complexity is the idea that certain features in animals could not have come from, could not have come from less complex features. The way they explain it is often something along the lines of, half of an eye isn't an eye, and it's worthless. Why would that evolve? Of course, misunderstanding completely how evolution works. It doesn't, like, slot things in one part at a time. So let me give an example. Let's say you're like an amoeba. You're a single-celled organism, or maybe even a little bit bigger. I don't know. Whatever. Let's not even say that. You're a tiny, tiny fish. You're not exactly a single-cell organism, but you're not really big either. You're maybe not a full fish. Whatever that might mean. All of a sudden, you get a mutation where some of the cells on your surface, on the surface of your body, start to be able to react to light, to visible light, what we know today as visible light. And because of this mutation allows you to see which direction is up in the water. You don't know it's up, because you're, a tiny little thing that doesn't have self-awareness, but you sense, oh, there's something up there. What you're seeing is the sunlight coming through the surface of the water, and down, it's dark. And up there, there's more food. Because closer to the surface of the water, you're going to have more organisms, assuming you're eating, like, microorganisms and stuff. So because of this adaptation, because you have these photosensitive cells, you're able to follow that towards food. Now, this is advantageous. No one else in your species has this. So you're able to successfully hunt for more food and survive longer than almost anyone else in your species, maybe than anyone else, and that allows you to reproduce many, many times. Now, luckily, all these children that you have, whether it be sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction, if it's like a smaller, organism that's not very complex, they have that same mutation. It's been copied from you onto them. Now you have a whole group that are photosensitive, have these photosensitive cells on their surface. Now they're going to be more successful than anyone else in the species, and they're going to propagate more, and their kids are going to propagate more, and so on and so forth. And every once in a while in that chain, maybe one of those kids, their photosensitive cells get a little more refined. They can see light either more or in a more refined way. They can see things more than just maybe brightness and darkness, but maybe they start to be able to see things like movement, stuff like that. And then the same thing happens. The same thing occurs. That propagates as that makes them more successful in getting food and being able to reproduce. This is how evolution works. Lots of little changes within a species that allow that change within the species to propagate throughout it, because those with that adaptation are more successful at either like gathering food or saving energy, basically anything that makes them more successfully be able to reproduce, because reproduction is how you more or less chart the success of something within the species for something like this, right? They're able to propagate very successfully because of these adaptations. And each one of these little steps along the chain from, a couple of photosensitive cells to complex eye is just a little step. But when you look at where you're at up here with the human eye, and we're not even the best seers in the world. I mean, there are birds like falcons who can just see crazy far distances, but we're doing pretty good for ourselves in terms of our ability to see. Each little step between those photosensitive cells and our eyeballs is very small. It's a very gradual change, but we've been on this planet, living beings, for billions of years. So even though it's little tiny steps, when you look at the beginning and you look at the end, there's a huge difference. So when you say something's microevolution, all you're doing is zooming in on that chain and looking at a little tiny thing and going, well, that's it, that's the end of it. But no, that's not the case. You need to zoom out and look at the whole thing. That's what people like Kent either misunderstand or intentionally obfuscate because they don't want it to get in the way of the point they're trying to make religiously. So he says, for instance, if we released hundreds of rabbits in an area with cold winters, only the animals with the heavier fur would survive. Yes, that's how evolution works. So within a few years, the population would have a little heavier fur than the earlier populations. Correct? These small, minor population shifts brought about by environment are referred to as microevolution. No, they're not. They're just evolution. They're just adaptations. There's been no change in the genetic material of the rabbit. What? What do you mean there's been no change in the genetic material of the rabbit? If there are rabbits with more fur in the population, there are genetic factors that are factoring into the thicker fur. What? It's not magic. You think there's some non-genetic factor that's going like, oh, we better give them better fur. No, it's genetic. It's absolutely genetic. There's only been a change in the ratio of the population. Okay, but Kent, how do you think the ratio changes? If not genetically, those changes are genetic in nature. That leads to a more successful phenotype. In this case, thicker fur. But that thick fur is dictated by a gene somewhere in the rabbit. And that's what's causing that to happen. And the reason it's propagating is because it's allowing them to be more successful, to survive and propagate. Therefore, it spreads throughout the population through their offspring. That's evolution. There's only been a change in the ratio of the population. You still have the same kind of animal. Another word they throw around a lot is kind, because it's the word that's used in the King James Bible to differentiate animals. Like, oh, there was this kind and that kind. Kind is not a scientific definition. It's not even a useful definition. Because if you push anyone on this sort of thing who's a creationist and they're like, oh, they can't change between kinds. And you're like, okay, define a kind. They'll kind of gesture and they'll be like, oh, dogs. Dogs are a kind. Like, they're canines. Canines are a kind. And felines, they're a kind. And monkeys, they're a kind. It's arbitrary. It's basically like kids' picture book level thinking. These animals look similar, therefore they are a kind. And often, they do look similar because they're, like, in the same, like, group or whatever. Sorry, I forget what the groupings at that level are called when you're, like, canine, feline, stuff like that. Maybe Baha can let me know. The Ender 92 with 100 bits. See previous bits for a not very funny joke. Hold on. Did I miss one? Sorry. Let me go look. Hannah, show me how things change kinds. This mutation, not evolution. Sarcasm heavily implied. Clade, thank you. So often they'll be talking about, like, clades. And they think that means the same thing as kinds. But it doesn't. Which is funny to me, too. Because, honestly, if you were looking at, like, if that's what you were doing and you were doing, like, a picture book, like, surface analyzation to be like, what kinds are human in? It becomes very clear that we belong in, like, the ape kind, right? Like, look at us versus a chimp or a bonobo. We clearly belong in the same kind, but they're like, no, not the same thing. Because fur or something. Even though we have hair. If the climate were to change back to a milder climate, the population of animals would change back to having lighter fur. Again, but that would be through evolution. Same thing. Macroevolution would be defined as changing into a different kind of animal. But again, how do I explain this in such a way? Taxonomy is an interesting science. It's great. But, how do I put this? Nature doesn't make much of a distinction between... Oh boy, how do I explain this? There are very few hard lines in nature. Let me put it that way. It's why you can have things like ligers. They're not able to reproduce like lions and tigers are, but the fact that those two are genetically similar enough that they can reproduce and make a liger or a tigan or whatever that's called, means that it's not really a hard line between lions and tigers, right? Even though they're different species, they're closely related enough that they can create a viable offspring. Or at least viable in the sense that it is alive, not viable in that it can reproduce and be its own thing. So, when you're talking about, like, one kind to another, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's, again, like these creationist people expect one day to wake up and a dog gave birth to a cat, and that's not what evolution is saying. And it's been explained to Kent many times that that's not how evolution works. It's a slow change. It's an accumulation of small changes over time. What's up?
Mostly people define species as
The
animals that can produce offspring that are fertile.
Okay. Animals that can produce offspring that are fertile is the definition of a species.
So lions and tigers are not the same species.
I know, I didn't say they were.
You did. You said, well...
I didn't say they were the same
You
species.
said they're similar enough that they can reproduce.
Yes. I didn't say they were the same species. Don't put words in my mouth.
I swear you did.
I did not.
It was a misspeak, but you did.
No, I didn't. Lions and tigers aren't the same species. I wouldn't say that because I know that's not true. I said they were similar and related enough to make an offspring. There's no similarity between microevolution and macroevolution. They're the same thing. Many evolutionists will use microevolution to try to prove that macroevolution is true. We must guard ourselves not to fall for this false logic. What? No, they're the same thing. There's no distinction between micro and macro. It's just all evolution. The idea that evolutionists try to get across today is that there is a continual upward progression. Upward is a strange choice of words. Upward implies that it's like constantly getting better, or that it's like going towards an end goal, and that's not the case. Evolution is a continual change, but it's not a change towards an end. It's not going upward. It's not like a, you know, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million years from now, if human beings exist, that like evolution is going to turn us into like super beings. It's just that it will continue to change us to suit our environment. Why are ligers an auto-blocked term? I don't know. I didn't do that. That's weird. They claim that everything is getting better, improving, all by itself, as if there is some inner drive towards more perfection and order. No, that's not what evolution says. It just says things are changing over time. Not the same thing as saying things are constantly getting better. If an animal remains in the same environment for generations and generations, then it's likely that that animal is going to evolve to become more fit to survive and reproduce in said environment. But the environment is always changing, even on the long term, if we're talking long term, right? So even if you get set and like you're ideal for a specific environment, eventually that environment's going to change, or your population is going to spread out to a different area, and you're going to have to change again. Stuff like that. It doesn't mean that we're getting a better and better, like, we can rebuild him better, faster, stronger. That's not how it works, right? It's just that things change to suit their environment over time. This is totally opposite of the first and second laws of thermodynamics. Again, no, it's not. Animals don't exist in a closed system. We're getting energy from the sun. Plants get energy from the sun, and animals eat the plants, get energy from there, and then other animals eat those animals and get energy from there. It goes against all scientific evidence that has been accumulated. Untrue. Yet this lie is what many men believe today. We don't see it happening anywhere in our universe today. We don't see any evidence of this in the fossil record. We literally do, though. We literally do. Hold on, let me see. What search engine is this? I don't even know. I'm having to use Microsoft Edge because that's what I'm reading his document on. Hobo Skillet, thanks for following. Daddy Sume, if this is a Rickroll. Oh, I can't play. What don't you understand about I can't play DMC? I can't play music. DMCA, friends. You want me to get banned? Oh, it's Bing? Oh, no. Fossil record evolution. We literally see this in fossils of various animals. We see change over time. There are a lot of illustrations showing this change, but these are based on actual fossils that exist, right? There's one of a horse. There's the whale. Here's human beings. There are all sorts of examples of this in the fossil record, of seeing species speciate over time, right? That's why there are distinct hominids other than Homo sapiens that pre-existed. Was it supposed to be the timestamp of better, stronger, faster? Why do I F up constantly? I don't know. Dude spanking dudes. According to all known laws of aviation, there's no way that a bee should be able to fly. Do you like jazz? I would like to trace the history of evolution, beginning with the fall of Satan from heaven. This is a doctorate, in case you... This is a doctoral dissertation. The history of evolution, beginning with the fall of Satan from heaven. I think you're going to have a hard time finding historical sources for that. Through the last 6,000 years, oh god.
About the tools of capitalism.
The B comment is wrong. That's not a real quote. Yeah, I know it's not true. To modern-day evolution and explain what those teachings this doctrine have planned for the future. To really understand the history of evolution, we have to understand the author. Satan is the mastermind behind this false doctrine. He was thrown out of heaven because of his desire to exalt himself to godhood. One of the underlying reasons that evolution appeals to so many people is because it appeals to man's pride. Isaiah 13:11 says, I will cause the arrogant... Wait a minute. Appeals to man's pride. Evolution just teaches us that we're animals.
There's nothing funny
Like
about
every other animal on the planet. And that our history goes back and we have a common ancestor with those. That's a humbling fact. Like, you're the one who's like, actually, God and I are buddies. We're his favorite creation. He literally made the whole universe and all the animals just for us. We're the most important thing in the universe. Now, which of those belief systems sounds like it benefits man's pride? Isaiah 13:11 says, quote, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the proud. God is against pride. In Isaiah 14:12 through 14, the Bible tells us of the fall of Satan from heaven. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down in the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Cosmic Sean 92 with 100 bits. That makes no sense, though. Evolution basically says humans aren't special, and that's why we shouldn't constantly be effing everything up for other animals. Yeah, I agree. Captain Seculoid with 25 bits. Satan is my daddy. Good to know. Later on in the passage, God says that he will cast down Lucifer. I personally believe that Satan fell from heaven about 100 years after the creation of Adam and Eve. Well, Kent, this is your doctoral dissertation. Now's the time to show your work. Why do you believe that 100 years passed between creation and when Satan fell from heaven? Please, I'd love to hear your reasoning. I believe that he had watched Adam and Eve have fellowship with their creator with pride and envy in his heart. He had been God's choir director since he was created. His desire to be God was thwarted when God cast him out of heaven. Oh gosh, now I'm just thinking of Satan and God as like a catty couple. And Satan's like, God, you've been spending all your time with those weird, naked, pink things in the garden. I got us tickets to Hamilton, and you skipped out so you could go hang out with those beatniks. And God's like, it's work, it's a project, it's a whole thing. They're human beings. I created a whole universe for them. And Satan was like, I heard David Diggs was coming back for this performance. Anyway. Ezekiel 28 tells of Ezekiel taking up a prophecy against Tyrus. It was obvious from the context that the king of Tyre is a picture or a type of Satan. Ezekiel 28, 2 through 5:17 says, Son of a man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up there, here we see the pride, and thou hast said, I am God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seats, yet thou art a man, not God. MMO Addicted with 100 bits. You missed Baja Bit message. Here it's, quote, Hannah in chat, I must have misheard what Hannah said. I know she knows that lions and tigers aren't the same species. I was just letting her know what most people define as a species, so I apologize. It's okay. I understand. You were just coming in a little spicy, and it made me defensive. Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom, with thy understanding, thou hast gotten the riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By the great wisdom and by the traffic hast thou increased thy riches. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Combat Tech Sport says, I love how Kent just keeps throwing in stuff from Paradise Lost as if it's in the Bible. I know. A lot of Christians do that. In fair, the difference is I think Kent knows he's doing it, but a lot of Christians don't know that, a lot of the canon that people typically ascribe to the Bible is actually Paradise Lost. Or not Paradise Lost, Dante's Inferno and Paradise Lost. Tyrus is a type of Satan who lifted his heart up. Pride is mentioned repeatedly in the Bible as being one of the main things God hates. I have noted several hundred references to pride that show God's attitude towards it. He hates it. Here are several. And then here's just, I will break the pride of your power. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. The wicked in his pride, blah, blah, blah. You get it. There you have just a few many verses in the Bible that deal with pride. God hates pride. Okay, well, Kent, why do you think that you know better than scientists, then? Isn't that pride to think that you know better than people who have literally spent their entire lives working towards a better understanding of biology? God hates pride. In his pride, Satan decided he would exalt himself and take over the throne of God. This is where evolution started. I have a question, and this is more theological than evolutionary. Let's say Satan did want to usurp God as, like, I don't know, king of the universe, or whatever you want to call God. What makes God have any more right to be the king of the universe than Satan? They're both just, like, supreme beings, right? Why does God automatically have supreme authority that no one gets to question, but Satan is evil automatically for wanting to not have God be the leader of the world? And bear in mind, God created, like, starvation and hurricanes and scorpions and herpes and Margaret Thatcher, all sorts of awful things, right?
Nothing funny about the tools of
Satan, as far as we know, hasn't done that many evil things in the Bible, right? He's tempted some people. He told Adam and Eve the truth in regard to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He just said it'll make you, like, be able to know good from bad like God. And he was telling the truth. God kills more people in the Bible than Satan. By a lot. So why do we automatically assume God is the good guy and Satan is the bad guy? Maybe God just has a better PR team. He put the Bible together and he's like, yeah, send that out. Take that, Satan. Satan and a number of angels that followed him were cast down to the earth. Then we have the story repeated in the heart of man. God is trying to exalt himself. This is what evolution is teaching today, that man is the pinnacle, the ultimate. No! Why are you projecting? Evolution just says we're yet more in the chain of living beings on this planet, and there'll be more after us, just like there was plenty before us. That's all it says. It says human beings are just one of many species on this planet, and you can interpret that however you want. I personally think that means you should probably respect your fellow life on this planet. You should try and preserve it, because it's not your right to destroy a world that doesn't belong to you. Yet here you are being like, actually, God loves me the bestest. The creator of the universe personally created me. Not only that, but all the animals that exist around me, they exist for my benefit. And the world, we can do whatever we want to it, because it was literally made for us. That's self-important, self-aggrandizing, narcissistic thinking. Why are you applying that label to evolution when all evolution does is explain that human beings are the result of millions of years of change, and that we happen to be seeing this one spot in time, but it will continue after us, and it has before us. We're not that special. That's the opposite of egotistical. When Satan realized he could not take over the throne of God, he decided to destroy what God had created instead. Satan, in the form of a serpent, brought the doctrine of evolution to the Garden of Eden! No. That's not in the Bible, in case you need to know. The Bible doesn't mention evolution at all, because evolution wasn't discovered until millennia later. In Genesis 3:5, the serpent says to Eve, "Ye shall be as gods." That's an interesting end to the quote. Literally, the entire quote is something along the lines of, "Ye shall be as gods, understanding good from evil as God does," which is the truth. He's specifically talking about you shall be as gods in regard to understanding morality, which is true. When they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they learn, oh, this is what good is, this is what bad is, and at that point they have a moral compass. Prior to that, they didn't have one, which, by the way, I question because, like, if you don't have a moral compass, because God didn't give them one, I guess, because they were just supposed to be robots that obey him no matter what, then why should they know that eating from the tree is bad just because God said so? They don't have a moral compass. They don't know good from evil. How do they know that keeping your word is good if they don't have the ability to discern good from evil? Satan wants your attention anytime you try to serve the Heavenly Father, and when Adam and Eve fell for the line that they could become as gods, the doctrine of evolution was successfully introduced to the world. Man's pride and ego had been appealed to, and he was no longer content with the status God had given him. Where did it go from there? Genesis 4:3 says, "And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Cain knew better. God wanted blood sacrifice." I want to know how Kent can write this and not go, that's weird. Why does God care? Cain and Abel are both hard-working, like one's a farmer and one tends to sheep and livestock, and they're both doing valuable work. Why does God want blood sacrifice? Isn't that a little weird? God had shed innocent blood to cover the sin of Adam and Eve. Cain knew God wanted a bloody animal sacrifice, a lamb to be precise. Cain thought that he could get a favor with God by bringing the work of his own hands. Cain promoted the evolutionary doctrine that man can progress by his own efforts. Evolution has nothing to do with progress by our own efforts, but if we're going there, like, every single improvement ever happening to the human race happened because people did it. Like, sure, people like Isaac Newton were religious, but it wasn't religion that led him to understand gravity. It was math and his own reason and understanding. The same applies to literally every discovery in human history. Cosmic Sean 92 with 100 bits. Yahweh is corn confirmed. Blood for the blood god. It was Cain's pride that caused him to disregard God's commands to bring a lamb. Instead, he brought the fruit of the ground, which represents his own efforts to please God. That doesn't even make sense. Because Abel also brought a lamb, which was the fruit of his labors. He was a shepherd. That's his job. They're both bringing the fruits of their job to sacrifice to God. Highly and Derp with 12 bits. Clearly God is a proponent of Michaela Peterson's carnivore diet. When God rejected his offer, he became angry at God. Since he could not hurt God, he took it out as anger on God's servant, his brother. In pride, he slew his brother because his brother's sacrifice was accepted. We are told later in the New Testament the reason why Cain killed his brother. In John 3:12 we read, "Not as Cain, who was that wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore he slew him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous." You heard it here first. Farming is evil. Captain Seculoid with 20 bits. Everything we didn't know before that we have researched has turned out to be not God and not magic, but a natural occurrence, yeah. I look nice today, thank you. Doesn't the New Testament do a ton of retconning of the Old Testament? Yeah, some, yeah. Why is farming evil? Because God says so, and morality to these people literally goes as deep as God said so. Okay, well, why is what God says good? Because he's God! So is God capable of doing evil acts, or once he does something, does it become good? Morality is more complicated than that, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Funny about the tools of
Dr. Gamble with 100 bits. Sim Farm? More like Sin Farm. This is still true today. Anyone that does good in this world is hated by those that do evil. Hey, Ken, speaking of those that do evil, what do you think about cheating on your taxes and getting 50 counts of tax fraud and going to jail for 10 years? Is that righteous? Didn't Jesus say, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? Or does that not apply to you for some reason? Cain's efforts to evolve closer to God met with disaster. I've seen Taffy stretch less than this. Cain was driven out from his family to wander in the world. His descendants apparently continued rejecting God. Man full of pride will seldom admit that he is wrong. This is why Kent continues to not admit that he was convicted of 50-something counts of tax fraud. Cherry Tree Boy with 10 bits. It was fun for the first stream, but now I gotta play daily Yu-Gi-Oh! See you later. Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Cosmic Sean 92 with 100 bits. Sovereign Citizen Kent Hovind. He literally is. He's literally a sovereign citizen if you don't know. He has a whole video on it we've covered before. We didn't cover the whole video, but we looked at some of it. The evil in the world continued to get worse until God had to destroy the inhabitants of the earth with a flood. When the flood was over, Satan began to work on Noah's descendants. The story of evolution continues in Genesis 9:22, and Ham, the creator of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without him. Ham, instead of doing the wise thing of covering up his father's nakedness, went out and laughed about it to his two brothers, evidently. This resulted in a curse being placed upon Ham's son, Canaan. Imagine walking into it. You're in the Middle East. The Earth was only created like 500 years ago. You're just hanging around. You walk in. You see your dad sleeping, and he's naked. And you go like, oh God. And you walk out, and your brothers are there, and you're like, oh God, you're not going to believe what just happened. I just walked in the tent, and Dad was in there, hanging full dong. It was hilarious. And then all of a sudden, like a light from heaven hits you, and it goes, you are cursed! Maybe an overreaction. This resulted in a curse being placed upon Ham's son, Canaan. Ham's pride caused him, by the way, his son Canaan becomes the patriarch of the Canaanites, who are often antagonists of the Israelites in the Bible. So it's really just an origin story for the evil, race that they don't like. Ham's pride caused him to try to make his father look bad. People who are always cutting down others are usually motivated by pride. They think making someone else look worse will somehow make themselves look better. Have you seen Kent's YouTube channel? His entire channel is like whack an atheist and stuff now. So literally he's doing what he's criticizing here in his doctoral thesis. Oh, sorry. Doctoral thesis! Daddy Sume, no vampires, Nosferatu. The story continues in Genesis 10. The people had been commanded by God to spread out and replenish the earth. Some decided instead to rebel against God's authority and exalt themselves. Genesis 10, 8-9 says, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Thank you, Devious Chillster, for your 4-month subscription streak. Hey, Hannah, on the hospital with pancreatic... Hey, Hannah, on the hospital with pancreatic. Wish me luck. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm sorry. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. The word before in that verse means in the face of the Lord or against the Lord. Nimrod's rebellion against the Lord caused him to begin construction of the Tower of Babel. We see this tower mentioned in Genesis 11, 1-9. And the whole earth was of one language and one speech. It came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Dr. Gamble with 50 bits with a link, and then Wing the Ultimate Nug says, Hello, Hannah, how are you? I love watching the VODs. Have the rest of my monthly bits. Thank you, I appreciate that. End of Dinosaurs, we can watch that later. And the Lord came down. Wait, did I miss one? No, I didn't. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. I know, it's the Bible. It's just how it's worded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they might not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off the building of the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So, just to be clear, let me recap some stuff. Basically, Kent's entire goal this chapter is to try and illustrate that evolution is somehow prideful, even though it's not. And I've already illustrated that religious belief is more prideful than evolution as a concept. However, this tenuous connection that he's trying to draw, now he goes to the Bible to say that pride is wicked. So he's saying, evolution equals pride, pride equals wicked, therefore, evolution equals wicked. Awful. Awful argumentation. Cosmic Sean 92 with 100 bits. I gotta bounce. Have a good night, Hannah. Try not to have an aneurysm reading Kent's dissertation. Thank you. The tower represented man's desire to exalt himself to the seat of God. The pride of the rebels caused the people to want to disobey God. They wanted to stay together and build big cities, even though God had commanded them to spread out and fill the earth. Kind of a dick move on God's part, right? Could I just point that out? Like, they just wanted to build a big tower to represent, you know, their society, as basically every society in human history has done. Look at the pyramids. Look at, you know, New York City full of skyscrapers, you know? We want to build big things, either for, like, residences, or in the case of something like the pyramids, to show, like, we were here, and this is the tomb of such and such, and they were important. Societies do this, yet God here is like, people getting along can't have that. And then he turns them all into different nationalities, magically. Even though we know that's not how language came about. Different languages, I should say. This tower represents man's desire to exalt himself to the seat of God. Oh, we already read that part. Babylon was one of the first cities built after the flood. It still exists today. The people reluctantly spread out after God judged them by confusing the languages. At this point, they spoke all different languages because the Lord confounded their speech. Weird that people are able to learn other languages, though. Seems like God would have stopped that if that was his goal. I'm sure for several generations they told stories about how it used to be in the good old days when there was just one big city and everyone was one happy family. Yeah, sounds like they were building like a city where people could all get along and like work together. And God's like, ho 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 ho, can't have that. As we trace the history of evolution, it becomes slightly confusing at this point because there are going to be several different branches on the tree. I will focus on just two of the main branches. When the people left the Tower of Babel, they took their false religion of evolution with them. Kent, evolution wasn't discovered until the mid-1800s. Stop trying to connect it to things that happen in the Bible. No wonder he couldn't get a real doctorate. They still hoped that they could exalt themselves to godhood. For the sake of the study, we shall call them the eastern and western branches of evolution. In the European community, actually, in the area of Asia Minor and in the country of Turkey, we have the western branch of evolution. In the countries of China, Japan, and India, the eastern branch of evolution developed. The branches actually developed simultaneously. What is he talking about? The flood was about 2400 BC, which makes it about 4400 years ago. The Tower of Babel was probably built within the first 300 to 500 years after the flood. He has no evidence for any of this, by the way, because none of it happened. So he's just pulling numbers out of his butt. Let's just assume that it was about 1900 BC when the Tower of Babel was built. Sure, fine, make up years for fake things, I don't care. The people were scattered from the tower. Many people in their pride still tried to find a way to become their own god. This is the basic motive behind evolution. No, it's not. Evolution is a discovery of how life on this planet came to have the variety that it has. That's it. That's the long and short of it. It explains how species change over time and eventually speciate. That's it. That's what it does. For the next several hundred years following the Tower of Babel, there were many evolutionary type myths passed down from generation to generation. Source? In the year 640. Thank you to, Ray Ping Ba- Oh, funny. Fuck you. For the next several hundred years following the Tower of Babel, there were many evolutionary type myths passed down from generation to generation. In the year 640 BC, Cherry Tree Boy with a bunch of bits. Actually, false alarm. None of my friends wanted to watch my Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay, so I'm back. Hey, Anna. Hello. Welcome. It's time to be disappointed that your friends didn't want to watch you duel. At some point in his life, he began to the first of the modern evolutionary doctrines. He said that man had evolved from animals, animals had come from plants. Wait, what? At some point in his life, he began the first modern evolutionary doctrines. He said that man had evolved from animals, animals had come from plants, plants had come from inorganic elements, and all these had come from the water. Anaximander, one of the students of Thales, enlarged on this theory slightly. Anaximander lived from 611 to 547 BC. He taught Pythagoras, who was famous for the Pythagorean theorem in mathematics. Right, but that's not evolution, Kent. There are a lot of, like, classical ideas on how things happen. Look at, like Plato, for instance. He came up with this idea of Platonic ideals. These are not scientific theories, and they're not evolution. That's not what evolution is. Cotton Candy 903. How many times do we need to tell these people that evolution itself doesn't completely discredit God existing? Yeah, right? Even if a God existed and created life, it doesn't change the fact that it's changed over time and that species speciate. Hello. Hey. Yeah. Love you too.
Your hair smells like butter.
My hair's... Ew, that's not good. Yeah, I need to take a shower.
I mean, it's not a bad smell.
Okay.
It's probably just because you put oil in your hair.
Yeah. At this point, there was a split in the evolutionary doctrine. Love you.
Love you too. How long is this fucking chapter?
I don't know. I'm going till we finish the chapter.
Scroll! How many more pages of hell do we have?
Oh my god. I'll call it soon, and then we'll switch to something else, because this is going on for quite a while.
You should call it after this page that you're on.
Okay.
You're on this one.
Okay. Let's see. At this point, there was a split in the evolutionary doctrine. Evolution isn't something that it exists, but humans haven't discovered it, and they're not talking about it because it wasn't discovered until the 1850s. You idiot. One group became atheistic and said that there was no God. Pythagoras started the group that became pantheistic. He said there had to be a God based on the design he saw in nature, but the God that he saw was the God in nature. The idea of limiting God to the natural elements is the underlying theme of pantheism. He lived from 580 to 489 BC. He believed that nature is divine. Nuh-uh. No why.
There's nothing funny about the
Oh
tools of
my
capitalism.
god! That's bad.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Gotta do something about that at some point.
Yep.
I might have to pay someone to come get that. That's way too big. What am I gonna do? A giant tree branch fell in my front yard. And I don't mean like one that you could like reasonably saw into pieces. Like, that is like...
I might have to actually go try and move it because it looks like it's in the road.
Oof. Anyway. There are basically 3 types of religion in the world. Oh god, he's gonna oversimplify so many things here. You want to see it? I think I could probably move the camera and have you guys see it. Although I don't know how much I want you guys to... Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Does Jake not have a chainsaw? I don't know. Jake's on vacation anyway. Let me switch to this camera. I guess you're gonna see my street. Oh, shit. God damn it. Hold on, I gotta reset the camera.
Let me hold it. You reset it.
This stupid camera. Come on. Jesus. Sorry, everyone. I'm trying. Okay, Jesus Christ. I hope I didn't just break my camera for good. Oh, Christ. Come on.
Yeah, that probably would have been a good idea, posting a pic on Twitter.
I guess. I think it just recognized it and made a noise. Oh, now it didn't. Jesus Christ. Come on, you stupid fucking camera.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Daddy Sume, this is the timber stream. Funny. Oh, God. Well, we might have to go the rest of the stream without a camera. Because I cannot get it to work. Oh, it just did a thing. And then it stopped. What the hell?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Jesus Christ, I hate this shit.
Wow, Hannah looks different today.
This is all your fault for wanting to see the stupid fucking tree, by the way. Alright, well there's no more camera today. Great. That's not frustrating at all. Okay, it's not gonna work. No camera. Great. Nope. Fuck.
There's nothing funny about the
Dr.
tools of
Gamble with 2,000 bits. We're sorry. Yeah, well. Now I gotta buy a new camera, so that's cool. Anyway, back to the thing. No camera today, I guess. Deal with it.
Yikes, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm really, really mad now. God, now that...
HHHHH9998, don't
There's
feel
nothing funny
bad.
about the tools of capitalism.
Enjoy your Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, continuing. There are basically 3 types of religions in the world. The first type is atheism, which says that there is no God. That's not a religion. Atheism isn't a religion. It's a belief, or a lack of belief, if you want to define it that way, but, like, it's not a religion. Psalm 14:1 calls the people who believe there is no God fools. Well, okay, that applies to you because you believe in the Bible, but no one who doesn't believe in the Bible cares what the Bible says, so kind of a weird citation. The second type of religion is pantheistic, which says that nature is God. This group says that the universe is in control of itself and knows what it wants to accomplish. Pantheism imparts a divine nature to the elements. The third type of religion says that God is outside of, above, and beyond his creation. He's not limited by his creation in any way. This is the almighty, infinite God of the Bible. Socrates was a pantheist Greek philosopher who lived from 469 to 399. He's also why we have the Socratic method. Socrates did not leave many writings, but he didn't leave... Socrates left no writings, Kent. He left 0 writings. He didn't know how to write, and he didn't like it. You idiot. Woohoo Lulu with 1,000 bits. How frustrating. Here's towards a new camera. Thank you. I appreciate that. Socrates, around the time of Socrates, writing came about. And he thought that it was wicked and it was going to corrupt the youth.
There's nothing funny about the tools
You
of
should
capitalism.
put a picture of yourself up.
Old enough to know more better with 1,000 bits. Sorry for the tech frustration and loss. Cheers for pushing on. You're a star. Thanks. Anyway, Plato wrote prolifically. Plato, like his teacher Socrates, was definitely a pantheist. He also believed that nature is God. Munitz, from his book Theories of the Universe, page 61, says, Plato also makes use of another analogical pattern of thought in describing the universe as an all-inclusive living creature, one body who is perfectly spherical and whose soul animates the whole world. In addition to this world soul, the various individual heavenly bodies are regarded by Plato as divine beings. Again, Kent, that has nothing to do with evolution, though. So I don't know why you're talking about it. Okay, that's all we're gonna read for now. We'll get back to this another time. We'll spin the wheel here in a sec. I just gotta switch the window capture back to Google Chrome. That's not. It's okay. Why can't I get to Google Chrome? Nothing's working today. There we go. Video capture device. Stupid. Very annoying. This goddamn camera. Trash. Give me a second to fuck with this for one more second, and then we'll move on.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Captain Seculoid with 3 bits. That song slaps. Play it again. The Ben Shapiro thing. While I screw with this, yeah, I'll play that for you. YouTube. Yeah, below the stream, if you scroll down below the actual stream, there's a box that says, you know, tip. Hit the tip button, and that's my Streamlabs.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak.
This one's not
7
very
days a
good.
week. Here are some of the lyrics. You ready?
I'm Marquise.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P-word. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah. You effing with some wet ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P-word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P-word. Beat it up and catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P-word right in your face. Wipe your nose.
Hey, there we go.
Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This V-word is wet. Come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar. Talk your S-word, bite your lip, ask for a call while you ride that D-word. You really ain't never gonna F him for a thing. He already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet-ass D-word. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet-ass B. Right, so, this is, guys, this is what feminists fought for. This is what the feminist movement was.
Dr. Gamble with 1,000 bits. Thank you. I still got to need a new camera because this one sucks. I also want to get one with like the light so I'm front lit a little bit more.
There's nothing funny.
Did I do something with my leaves? I look different. All right, that's funny. Yeah, the song's probably what fixed it. You're right. Let me just change the size of the video capture slightly so it fits in the box. Perfect. Back to the schedule as normal. Karen. All right, we can do it, Karen. Karen gets ticket for no mask, and it's a dude, Karen.
To Karen.
Hello folks, this is Larry Heather. I'm reporting from the Co-op Shopping Center on McLeod Trail, across from Heritage Square here, southwest Calgary. So I went into my bank this morning without a mask, with the great crime of not wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yep. You're endangering not only your health, but the health of everyone around you when you don't wear a mask in public. Until such a time as we get this thing under control, all you're saying to everyone around you is, I value my comfort over your safety. That's what you're saying, and it makes you an a-hole. That's why people hate you. That's why people yell at you. That's why you're getting tickets.
And I get my first ticket, which is 3 days into the bylaw, $50 ticket, and it says fail to wear face covering when required.
Yep, that'd be what the ticket's for if you're not wearing a mask and you get a ticket for it.
Now the unique thing about this is the Scotiabank is taking on enforcement duties rather than just posting what they're supposed to do under the bylaw, which is to post a sign at a prominent entry place. If they don't post a sign, they can be fined $200.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
But they...
Thank you to Shylock for 2 bits. Feels like a crybaby emoji would be good unless there's one and I haven't seen it.
took it to the next level. They say we are going to be...
Imagine being such a selfish prick that not only do you go into a bank or wherever you're going to go with no mask on during a global pandemic that's killed almost 200,000 people just here in America. And let's look at the U.S. death toll. That's always fun. U.S. COVID death. We're up to 179! USA! USA! Hooray! Anyway, imagine in the midst of all this being such a selfish douche that you not only go into a bank with no mask, especially considering this guy's old, and he's at risk himself. So not only is it selfish, it's incredibly stupid. It's a weird combo. He's a selfish idiot. So he's endangering himself, he's walking into a bank, he's endangering everyone around him, and then he gets a ticket, still decides not to wear a mask, goes outside, and starts filming a video and thinks people are going to be on his side, which falls more into the idiot category. What is wrong with these people? Dr. Gamble with 300 bits. USA, USA, USA. Yeah.
Be policing the door, and we will not give service.
Oh, he's Canadian. Scotiabank, like Nova Scotia? Is he Canadian? That's even worse. He should know better.
We will not.
Let me double check that. Scotia Bank. The Bank of Nova Scotia, operating in Scotia Bank, is a Canadian multinational banking and financial services company, one of Canada's biggest 5 banks, third largest Canadian bank by deposits and market cap. So he's probably Canadian. I don't know if there's any in the US, but I've never seen one.
Not give service to people that
The court ruled that the CDC and hospitals have to give the death rates and contaminations. Trump got owned on that? Yeah. Wasn't he trying to get them to send them directly to him and not the CDC?
will not wear a mask.
Oh, here's a picture of the tree branch if you wanted to see it, by the way. I mean, it's big. It's bigger than it looks. It's kind of hard to see without a frame of reference, but like, let me show you this tree branch. Oh, there's a Elon in the way. Hold on. It's a big old branch. It's very, very large.
And they either provide a mask, or you got to go wear a mask, or they say, well, just do online banking.
Oh, he's in
Well,
Alberta?
this is a fundamental denial of democratic freedoms, folks.
Okay, first of all, frankly, if someone forced me to go into a bank and do my banking in person, I would consider that to be a human rights violation. I don't want to interact with people at a bank. Use the internet, you old fuck. Learn to use a computer. You do not have the right to go and do your banking in person. Heck, there are banks that operate almost entirely online. Like, you do not get to be like, it is my human right to go into the Scotia Bank and get some suckers or whatever and annoy the tellers. No. No, it's not. Stop it. You're not being denied service. All they're doing is telling you, hey, use online, or come in, but wear a mask. It's very simple.
Folks, the bylaw was crafted in a way that even in council they said 60%. If we get 60% enforcement, we would be happy.
Yeah, that's probably a consideration with just about all laws, especially one like this where you're going to have some cops who are probably not going to enforce it very hard. So the entire point of this law, for instance, is to get people to wear masks so they don't fall into that 60%. Of course there are going to be people who are going to get away with it. That's not the point. Just because we know some people are going to get away with certain laws, or get away with breaking certain laws, doesn't mean you don't make the law. It's a deterrent. Daddy Sume, like Second Community American Mutual, that's a great bank. It's only online, no physical locations at all. Yeah, I also watch Kit Boga. I get it.
So for a $50 fine, we're to give up a major freedom. $50 fine. Give up our freedoms to
Just wear a mask! Just put a mask on, you big baby!
have in-person banking services.
Please, I don't know much about the Canadian Constitution. I very much doubt one of the rights in it is, right to go and do your banking in person without a mask. I very much doubt that. What is wrong with these people? I don't get it. I don't get the big deal. It's just a mask. Wear it. To quote Michael Jordan, stop it. Get some help.
Scotia Bank. I don't know if I'm the first one in Calgary to get one, but since I made a music video...
Your dad probably fought in World War II. His dad probably fought in World War I and sat in a trench for a week with a gas mask on, and you can't wear a piece of cloth over your mouth hole for 5 minutes while you do your banking. You giant man-child. Either grow up or please die.
Called Unmasking Calgary, making fun of Naheed Nenshi and his masking bylaw, which I would call like muzzling Muppets bylaw. And so this possibly is the first ticket in Calgary.
Muzzles prevent you from speaking or opening your mouth. Masks don't do that. It just keeps your mouth spit and your nose air from escaping and spreading to everyone around you. Pretty simple.
Deliberate violation of the masking bylaw 3 days in. Now, there is a prediction in the Bible that the time comes when you will not be allowed to buy or sell or...
Oh no, is he going to say the masks are the mark of the beast?
Service unless you take the mark of the beast. I don't think that time is quite yet because I don't see a third temple in Jerusalem yet. But this is a premonition. This is like a training camp for Antichrist. This is like a training camp.
How is the generation that fought in World War II produced... How is it that the generation that fought in World War II produced the absolute most entitled, whiny, idiotic generation in human history? Because they were handed literally everything. The United States was literally, like, the only, like, manufacturing economy on the planet that wasn't devastated by World War II. So the business was booming. People could go and get jobs. Tax rates were high on the rich, so programs were funded. Housing prices were low. Jobs in college were easy. College was cheap. Jobs were easy to get. You got paid really, really well. Unions were strong. They were handed everything. And then as they got older and continued to exert their power in politics for their own benefit, to pad their own already ginormous pocketbooks, they stripped away those things from their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. Like... They're the biggest selfish buttholes on the planet. It's like, oh, I had a really easy job. I got a job in high school, and I paid my way through college with it, which you can't do nowadays. So let's you know, I'm investing in some private colleges now. So can we up tuition and make sure that I can make more money so my children and grandchildren can't afford to go? They're all assholes. They're just the worst. The best thing to me for some of these people is they've devastated younger generations economically so much that when the time comes for them to, like, and this has already happened to some of them, but I hope it happens more so, when the time comes for them to retire, to try and, like, sell their McMansions, there's just going to be not enough people to go and buy them, and it's going to, like, depress the value. It's real, they're just they're the worst. I hate them. I hate them so much.
So I don't know if you can read. Says failure to wear face covering when required, and it's any kind of face covering. It could be just a tissue face covering. That'll do because the whole point of it is power. And
no, it's not. A tissue face covering is still better than none. If that's what you want to do to make a statement, go for it. Make a tissue paper mask, but still wear the thing, because it'll still block a lot of your air. I'd rather you wear, like, a mask that you buy. But if that's where you want to, if that's the hill you want to die on, gasping for air because you caught COVID, fine. Wear a tissue paper mask. It's better than nothing.
Submission. It is submission to the
They all need a big heaping serving of karma. Yeah.
Government on arbitrary law that was decided in council over 2 days, and actually the full face ban was decided within a matter of 2 hours. It took 2 hours to put this through.
Yes, because it's common sense. Because it's very simple. Because only idiots and selfish people, and a mix of the two, are the kinds who disagree with this.
And the result is your ticket, $50. Failure to wear a face covering. They made instead of a mask, because a mask sounds too harsh, it sounds too grotesque, so they put face.
No, because you could theoretically wear something other than a mask. Like, you could wear anything as long as it covers this. As long as it covers your nose and mouth holes, You're good.
It's covering.
I think some people, for instance, because they don't want to wear a mask, use those face shields. I think it's less effective, but at minimum, like, if you sneeze or something, it's not spreading it as much. I don't know. You'd probably get away with that. MW1642, thank you for gifting a sub. How many subs gifts do we have left before... Ooh! 9. We have 6 more until I get to my monthly goal. Sweet. I didn't think I was going to make it this month because I started it, like, on the 10th, but...
And that means any kind of covering, a kerchief, anything as long...
Great! Then put one on! Put on a handkerchief on your face. As long as it covers your holes.
As long as your nose and your mouth is covered up.
Yes. Do you not understand the point of the face covering? That's the entire point. It's to keep the holes in your face that produce air from your lungs. It's to keep that air from spreading, or at least to keep the particulates that are in that air from spreading.
No, it is causing enormous communication problems, of course. People are already mumbling behind plexiglass barriers. You can hardly tell what they're saying. But it's sociological dynamite.
Kane
Not
Malice,
only
thanks for
that,
following.
it leads to a lot of lung diseases, fungal diseases of the throat, because you're not exhaling your viruses.
Fungal diseases of the throat. Does this guy know that the inside of your body is wet all the time? Like, what do you mean, fungal infections of the throat? You exhaling air from your mouth, which you're still doing, by the way. If you have a mask on, you're still breathing. It's just keeping the particulates and stuff from spreading. Do you think that if you somehow didn't breathe out, that the inside of your, like, esophagus and your, like, air tube, whatever that's called, I don't remember, I don't know, body parts, do you think they'd be dry? It's inside your body. The inside of your body's moist. Dude spanking dudes. Please, I've been wanting the next Tinfoil Tuesday. Can we see some COVID conspiracies? Next Tuesday, maybe, yeah.
It's a normal process to exhale what your body cannot use.
Trachea.
So you're exhaling
That's what it is, thank you.
CO2. So when you put a mask covering on, you're inhaling it back in.
There's nothing funny about
and it goes into the...
It was already in your body. If it was already in your body, why do you think it would be a danger to breathe it back in? Daddy Sume with a bit. No, he thinks that you need to exhale those viruses or they grow in your throat. That's not how anything works.
The bloodstream as an acid. It converts to an acid. It's called respiratory acidosis. It throws the whole pH of your blood out. So just reporting here, I don't want to go on too long here, but this $50 ticket being refused banking services at the Bank of Nova Scotia. It could happen to your bank. It could happen everywhere, I guess. That,
good.
Maybe you have to go outside of Calgary to do your banking if you don't want to do it online. But this is really a fundamental breach of democratic freedom, and I will fight this ticket in court. John Carpe has already said from the Center for Constitutional Justice that this ticket should be fought. It's unjust. It's very much out of the jurisdictional power
No, it's not.
of the city of Calgary to do this sort of thing. They're contriving up health reasons. They think
It's not contrived.
It's
There's a global pandemic. You psycho.
actually faddish globalist reasons rather than legislation authority. So I just make this protest my first ticket under the face mask bylaw and by a bank which provides essential services. Larry Heather signing off at McLeod Trail.
Learn how to use an app. How about it? I know you're old, but regardless of how old you are, the world is going to continue to change. And I don't go into a bank even if I have to. I go through the drive-thru. Who likes to go to the bank? What a psycho.
Co-op and Hull Avenue, I believe it is, across from Heritage Square here. Just give you a little look-see of the the location here.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Daddy Sume, a favorite YouTuber of mine, said it best. Learn a skill! Who said that? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so now what to do? I'll keep you posted.
What an a-hole.
Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this
Oh,
video
Jake
on
said that? I don't remember when he said that, but I know I've heard it. These people are ridiculous. They just need to stop. Thank you, Daddy Sume with another bit. Yeah, thanks. Okay, Wheel of Entitlement. What's next? Chuds. Uh-oh. Here's the quartering. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Jeremy. 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 Jeremy made a new video, and Brie Larson is in the title. So, this is entitled, Disney to Fire All SJW Staff. Brie Larson downgraded. Is this Christmas? The site he's using to source this is a site he uses all the time. I think it's called, like, Cosmic Book News or something. Hold on.
Funny about the tools of
Cosmic Book News. Yeah, here we go.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
That F me face. Look at that face. Yeah. So anyway, here's, this is the site that Jeremy will often quote, and here's the article. Let's just go over it briefly so we know what he's talking about. He'll probably reference it, but I want the full context. With Star Wars failing at Disney, and with the... It's not failing that hard. Like, don't get me wrong, I totes get it. Like, I think the J.J. Abrams trilogy was real weak. The Last Jedi was the best movie out of those, in my opinion. I really liked The Last Jedi. I thought The Force Awakens was fine, and then The Rise of Skywalker was awful. And it kind of showed that they, like, didn't really have an idea where the thing was going, and I agree that it's bad. But it still made a lot of money, and Disney's still making a lot of money on Star Wars merch. They have a Star Wars land. How many Larson videos are at a total now? I don't know, probably 60, I don't know. Surrounded by the coronavirus causing the company to lose billions, it's claimed that Disney will be changing its approach to various franchises, including Star Wars and Marvel. It's no secret that Disney has been promoting a woke agenda in its movies more and more. Not really. I mean, they just have movies with more representation. Like, there's, like, female superheroes now, which is great. And there's, like, Black Panther, which is a mostly black cast, which is really cool. Like, that's it. That's not woke. That's just recognizing that your audience is made up of more than straight, cis, white men. That's just good business. It's no secret that... Oh, we already read that. Sorry. Star Wars is a complete disaster at Disney. Have you seen The Mandalorian? It's pretty good. As has been on the decline, proven by Disney investor reports since the release of Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars The Last Jedi, which caused fans to bail on Star Wars in droves, which I find hilarious because that's like a good movie. Last Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, so I don't get that. I think a lot of fanboys didn't like it because it was like the themes of the movie were like, fuck your fandom. Fuck your obsession with the past and, like, the ideas of what Star Wars should be. And I like that. But, you know, that's just me, I guess. Regarding Marvel, on the movie side of things, there have been problems with Brie Larson. Not really. And we can argue that even though Captain Marvel was a success, similar to The Last Jedi, it was another woke approach which failed, as the writing and directing team are not back for the sequel. And perhaps the biggest proof Captain Marvel was a failure. It's the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. It made over $1 billion. Was that Kevin Feige apparently downgraded Brie Larson at Marvel and is now promoting Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, and Olsen are liked by the fans as a whole lot more than... You have no evidence of that. Oh boy, let me see what his source on this is. Scarlet Witch, blah blah blah, switches gears from his earlier statement. No, hey, idiot. Idiot. When they're saying that Scarlet Witch is the most powerful, they're talking about her reality warping capabilities that they're going to go into in which they're going to go into in WandaVision, which is the Disney Plus show, when they say Brie Larson's Captain Marvel was the strongest, it's because she's physically the most strong, like Superman. They mean different things. And by the way, idiot, the power level of certain characters in the MCU has nothing to do with the actors or actresses. It's not like they're like, wait a minute, this character is the most powerful. We better start paying them more. Like, this argument would make it be like, oh, Mark Ruffalo should be the highest paid person in the MCU. He's the Hulk. The Hulk is really strong. That's not how anything works, you friggin' psychos. What are you talking about? Robert89, thank you for following, and Grey Warrior 22, thank you for following. So as the woke agenda hasn't been a success at Disney, yeah, because Captain 23rd highest grossing movie of all time, $1 billion Marvel, and black cultural phenomenon Panther, those were such a failure. It's claimed that Disney is going to purge all the SJWs and cater to the fans. I can't believe people read this absolute ridiculous neckbeard fan fiction and think like, yeah, this sounds legit. Can't you just see, like, professional CEOs and board members at Disney screeching like internet incels, like, we need to get these SJWs out of Disney! That's not how adults talk, guys. Do people forget how much merch sales? Merch makes a lot of money. I know. The info comes from future ruler of the earth, Doomcock. Yeah, that's right, people. The only source for this article is a YouTuber named Doomcock. You can't make this up. From the Overlord YouTube channel, who has been providing information about Star Wars will get fixed and previously revealed information about problems with Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. None of the information, I looked at this guy's YouTube channel a while ago, just because I was curious what other stuff he did. Nothing that he's said has been proven to be true. He just makes weird speculatory bullshit articles or videos, and then people like Cosmic Book News pick it up and act as though he's like a reliable source, even though he's never been proven to be right about anything. Like, look at these videos. One of his is Star Wars leak CGI to replace Mark Hamill? No, that's not gonna happen. Star Wars leak. Is Lucas about to return? Imagine being such a weirdo that you think George Lucas returning to make a Star Wars movie sounds like a good idea to you. This person and this video is, Lucas cut of Rise of Skywalker revealed? Why would George Lucas have a cut of a movie he had nothing to do with the making of? Like, it's just straight up, like, incel, angry at Kathleen Kennedy fan fiction. It's absolutely bonkers. They say that another video claims that they're going to completely erase the last 3 Star Wars movies from canon, which is stupid and not going to happen. Like, he just puts out ridiculous video after ridiculous video. And people like The Quartering, because he knows his audience, and people like Cosmic Book News, because they know their readers, are angry, cis white dudes who want to go back to a time when they were the only people represented in media, write these fan fiction articles and videos about, oh, don't worry, it's going to go back to how things were, guys. Please, just look at my site and click on the ads, please. Cotton Candy 903 with 10 bits. They seem to forget that George Lucas was the reason the prequels they hate so much are the way they are. Yeah, very ridiculous. Hollywood is indeed a woke wasteland, and now out of that wasteland a new hope has suddenly appeared, explains Doomcock. The YouTuber does note the information does sound too good to be true, but the info comes from a high-level source. This guy Doomcock, I've watched some of his videos. He will consistently claim he has some high-level source in at Disney that tells him this information, despite nothing he's ever claimed ever coming to fruition. I'm assuming it's just someone who's trolling him, and is just like, I work at Disney. Wink, wink. Here are things that are gonna happen. The prequels are better than the sequels? You're wrong. No. Seriously, though, taste is subjective. If you like the prequels, that's fine. But I would watch the sequel trilogy 3 times in a row before I'd watch the prequel trilogy once. I hate the prequels. They're awful. According to a source that has been reliable in the past... Reliable. The shit is about to hit the fan at Disney, says Doomcock. I'm told that getting the SJWs out of Disney is now priority 1, mandated by the sudden realization that sometimes cliches are cliches for a reason, and a new understanding at the highest level that the get woke, go broke is no longer just a slogan. No one at Disney follows the quartering or knows get woke, go broke. Yes, you heard me right. As incredible as it sounds, it does certainly sound incredible. I agree. My source boldly claims that Disney is now concerned with one thing, profitability. What do you mean now? You're right. Before, Disney was like, hey guys, we're Disney. So as you all know, we're a very ideologically pure company that's trying to work for the greater good. Doomcock continues. The proclamation is about to be sent from on high to every corner of the Enchanted Kingdom. The Magic Kingdom, you idiot. Disney is a for-profit business moving forward. What do you mean moving forward? What universe do these people live in? And from here on out, the customer comes first. I guess unless the customer is a woman. Then fuck 'em. The woke party is over because the mouse is awakened with a terrible hangover and it's a new day at Disney. Do I need to point out that over the period that they're calling, like, woke Disney, when Captain Marvel and, like, Black Panther and the Star Wars movies are coming out, are the years where Disney has posted the highest profits it's ever had? They're struggling right now because of COVID, and because they haven't been able to release any movies in theaters. And because most of the profit for the Disney company comes out of their theme parks, which have really low attendance right now, and for most of the year had to be closed. It has nothing to do with what was going on at Disney prior to COVID. The fantasy world is nuts that these people live in. Bad-mouthing fans, no matter what they say or what side they are on, will no longer be tolerated. That's not a thing that's happened. That goes for everyone that works at Disney, including Brie Larson. Brie Larson didn't badmouth fans. Why do you people continually misrepresent what she said? What she said was literally, hey, it would be nice if there were more women and people of color in movie review circles, because right now it's mostly white men. So it would be nice to get some different perspectives. And the entire internet of incel weirdos went, no! Most movie reviewers should be white men! It's just the most ridiculous shit. Including the Lucasfilm Story Group and everyone that includes Kathleen Kennedy ever hired. Disney no longer tolerating woke agenda. Doomcock goes on to give examples of people at Disney attacking fans, including Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, Brie Larson, and Taika Waititi. Yes, Taika Waititi, who made one of the most successful Marvel movies of all time in Thor Ragnarok, is gonna get shit on. Sure. I've been told explicitly that even someone like Brie Larson will no longer be able to work at Disney if she takes shots at fans. She's never taken shots at fans. The slack attitude and tacit support implied by silence that embolden these woke wonders to hijack a corporate message and subvert corporate profits is no more. Subvert corporate profits? Captain Marvel is one of the most successful Marvel movies. What are you talking about? The Lucasfilm Story Group will no longer be empowered to humiliate Luke Skywalker to strike a blow against the patriarchy. I don't get people who didn't like how Luke was characterized in The Last Jedi. That made sense to me for that to be him. Luke Skywalker was always someone who teetered on the edge of, like, turning to the dark side or whatever. He was always someone who was iffy if he was going to continually to pursue the light. So when he saw darkness in Kylo, and he saw that he might become the next Darth Vader, I'd be shocked if Luke didn't have a moment of doubt where he wanted to just strike him down and be done with it. That's characterization. That's in line with Luke's character. No more will Nick Fury be humiliated by having a pet cat take out his eye. How is that woke? It's just a gag. It was funny. Like, what? And he's not a cat. He was literally an alien. Did you miss the entirety of the point of the bit? He's a flurkin. Get woke, go broke is a phrase that resonates with Disney now, and positive changes are on the way if the leak is true. These people are absolutely nuts. It goes on. You get it. Anyway, it's always interesting. So, this Doom guy on YouTube, his source is anonymous. Who knows who it is? Maybe it's Jeremy. It would be hilarious if Jeremy was a fake source that fed information to that Doom guy. I'm not saying this is true. It could be anyone. I'm just saying it's some made-up person. Says they work at Disney. They don't. Gives information to this Doom guy who shit posts on YouTube and makes a bunch of ridiculous videos. That gets picked up by Cosmic Book News. And then Jeremy picks it up and perpetuates it like it's a real story with actual verified sources. It's wild how this weird right-wing, like, media YouTube works, where some anonymous person will claim something to someone. That person will make a video, and then all the other, like, right-wing YouTube-y media people will pick up on it as if it's verified fact. Jeremy is making a 14-minute video about this thing that isn't even true. It's just wild.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I've got some good news for you. Many of you wanted a wholesome story or some good news. This is at least on the gooder news side of things. I've also talked to the game shop owner in Kenosha, and I'm going to have an update, a very positive Patty update for you probably right after this video, and so much more. So keep it locked here on The Quartering. Make sure you click that red subscribe button down below so you actually get notified when I upload, since YouTube is unreliable. Now, everybody has some passion for something probably that Disney or Marvel touches, whether that's superhero movies, whether it's Disneyland, Disney World, whether it's, you know, I don't know, some of the Disney films from your childhood. And you know what? You can get almost all of them at this video's sponsor, Display.
Oh,
huge
God.
shout out to this video. 30 cables in a huge, yeah, and then get yourself a list. And look, it's you get yours today. Woo-wee, that was a sweet transition. Look, it's a massive discount. They continue to support this channel. When you pick up your displays, you're supporting me nearly directly as well. So get a couple. You see these brand new Nintendo ones I got. I want to get a bunch more of those. I think they look awesome. But great news. Good news, everybody. Everybody, clap your hands. Everybody, clap your hands. Disney purging Star Wars, Marvel.
Wonder why he looks at this on the archive thing. Because he uses this source all the time. It's not like he's trying not to give them revenue, as far as I know. So, weird.
Woke agenda? There is no way this can be true. But let's all just take 8 minutes. Smash like.
So he's even aware that this is just like masturbatory right-wing fantasy. But he's gonna pretend anyway, because it makes him feel better to think that things are gonna go back to the way they were in the 80s. That's sad.
Leave a comment. Let's pretend like this is actually happening. With Star Wars failing, I don't know. Star Wars is not doing as well as probably Disney wants. You got to remember, with these super huge corporations, it's not about making money.
Yes, it is. Jeremy, what are you talking about? It's literally their goal is to make money and raise their share price.
It's about making all the money.
Okay. All right. You're right there.
And fears surrounding lockdown, causing the company to lose billions. It is claimed that Disney will be changing its approach to various franchises, including Star Wars and Marvel. It's no secret that Disney is promoting a, quote, woke agenda in its movies more and more. I don't know necessarily if it's in the movie so much. If it is, it's not necessarily on the nose, or maybe it's in some of the films that I haven't seen. It's more so in their casting choices, I think, and the press.
By casting choices, he means hiring women and people of color, I guess. and what? What do you mean, Jeremy?
They do around it. Well, I guess there is The Last Jedi. I take it all back.
What?
Star Wars is a complete disaster.
How is The Last Jedi woke? I'm trying to think what happened in The Last Jedi that could be considered woke. I don't think anything in The Last Jedi happened that was, like, objectively woke. It's just a Star Wars movie made by Rian Johnson that's like, hey, you know this legacy of Star Wars and all the things you fanboys like? Stop holding on to it so much and look forward. That's not woke. That's just a theme you don't agree with. The woman was the hero. Oh my god, you're right. They literally think just because Rey is the protagonist. Oh, purple hair lady. Laura Dern. It's Star Wars. There are people with fish heads in Star Wars. Why wouldn't there be people with different colored hair? Jeremy.
I'd agree with that. At Disney, and it has been in decline, proven by investor reports.
It's because of COVID. That's because of COVID-19. Their theme parks, their biggest avenue of profit, are closed, or now that they've reopened, they're at low capacity and fewer people are going anyway. And secondly, they missed an entire summer movie season. Black Widow didn't release. Mulan didn't release. I'm sure there's other movies they were going to release that I'm not thinking of right now.
Since the release of Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars.
After the release of The Last Jedi, they made their biggest movie ever, which was Endgame, which was the biggest movie in terms of profit in the history of the world. So what are you talking about?
Last Jedi, which caused fans to bail on Star Wars in droves. Yeah, I mean, of course it did. Right? Of course! Now, most casual Star Wars fans didn't really have a huge problem with it. But the longtime fans did not care for it. Regarding Marvel, on the movie side, there have been problems with Brie Larson. And we can argue that even though Captain Marvel was a success, similar to The Last Jedi, it was another woke approach which failed, as the writing and directing teams are not back for the sequel. And perhaps the biggest proof Captain Marvel was a failure is that Kevin Feige has apparently downgraded Brie Larson at Marvel and is now promoting Elizabeth
Again, remember, the entire reason that article said that they're promoting Elizabeth Olsen over Captain Marvel is because of the claim that Scarlet Witch is the more powerful character. And bear in mind that this is from Kevin Feige, and part of his job is marketing. And guess what's coming out very soon? WandaVision. When he was saying Captain Marvel was the strongest, guess what was coming out? Captain Marvel and Endgame, where she's in. Pretty simple. And also, they're powerful in different ways. Captain Marvel is probably the strongest and most durable, but Scarlet Witch has reality warping powers. Most casual fans, quote, normal people and women liked Star Wars. Long-term fans, quote, white men didn't like it. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I don't get... The self-importance these people have is weird. Because even if what he was saying is true, and he's saying, like, people who buy, you know, Star Wars action figures from the 70s, mitten the package, didn't like The Last Jedi, but the general public did... Okay, Jeremy, Disney's marketing towards the general public, not you. Like, if you're a huge fanboy of Star Wars and you buy tons of Star Wars toys, that's awesome, that's cool, but you're never going to take up a bigger market share than a family going to see a movie because it's the big summer movie and then their kids wanting to go and buy lightsabers afterwards. Like, you're just not the target demographic. You're just not. And it's something I don't think these people are used to. Because, like, straight white dudes have been the target demographic for movies and TV shows for, like, all of American history, for the entirety of America's history in media. And now that there are things that aren't that, and don't get me wrong, the vast majority of it is still catered towards them. But now that there's stuff like, you know, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, you know, things that represent people who are different than themselves, they just can't wrap their head around it. They don't like it. So they can't understand how anyone else does. They're completely unable to have the self-awareness to recognize that there are different kinds of people out there who like different things than them and who want to see themselves represented in these big franchises just like they have been for decades. Does Jeremy think that his opinions are more valid in print? Yeah, I don't know. Stone Corbell with 20 bits. They should cast Brie Larson as the lead in the new Star Wars movie. Really make all their heads explode. That would be hilarious. Daddy Sume. There used to be the target demo when they were kids, but now that focus is still on the kids. They can't stand it. Yeah. It's like confusing to them. Because of course, you know, in the 80s, in the 90s, if you're doing a big action franchise, you're targeting that towards little boys. Nowadays, they recognize that, hey, more than just little boys can be into, like, action, blockbuster, superhero, sci-fi, whatever movies. So, we're going to include characters that aren't just little white, that representative of what little white boys want to be, right? Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, you know? Now you have things like, oh, if there's still Luke Skywalker, there's still Han Solo, there's Kylo Ren, there's Rey, there's Finn, there's the other guy whose name I always forget. He's the pilot. The point is, like, diversity exists because the market is diverse. It's pretty simple.
Hole said, not Brie! Not Brie. Please, not Brie. Brie, don't do this to me, Kevin Feige. Don't you do it to me. Seriously. I'm going to be very angry. Oh, it says Scarlet Witch and Olsen are liked by the fans a lot more than Brie Larson and Carol Danvers. That's true. Everyone loves Elizabeth Olsen.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think he's wrong. I think he feels that way because he thinks Elizabeth Olsen stays in her lane or whatever, whereas Brie Larson is a pretty outspoken feminist who's like, hey, we should have all kinds of different people reviewing movies, not just like straight cis white dudes. So then they all read about it and they get mad, so they think that they need to punish her by not giving her money or something, which is fine. No one is obligated to see a movie. But again, like, you're in the minority here, Jeremy. Most of the general public doesn't care. They don't know about any comments Brie Larson has ever made, much less have an opinion on those comments. They just go see the Marvel movie, because the Marvel movies are the biggest movies in the world. I really, really hope Captain Marvel 2. And this is what I don't like about this. Because normally, like, I love the Marvel movies. I want them to be successful so they continue to make them. But at the end of the day, if eventually they're going to drop off in popularity. It's just going to happen. You know, it happens with every franchise. It happens with every genre. I expect it. It's fine. We've gotten 10 years of really fun movies out of it. If that's all we got, I'd be happy. So everything beyond this is just, you know, gravy. But boy, when Captain Marvel 2 comes out, I am going to be rooting for it to make over $1 billion. Just because I want to see Jeremy explode. I want to see how mad he gets when he is proven wrong twice in a row on Captain Marvel movies. And I just don't know what he's going to do. What's he going to do when that happens? He's going to freak out.
At least right now, until some old award ceremony speech gets brought up, and then we have problems. So, as the woke agenda hasn't been a success at Disney and all of Hollywood,
it's been very successful. Let's look at Disney stock price. It's going to be down recently, specifically because of COVID. But let's look over the past 5 years, because that's like when they've gotten woke. Let's even say max, okay? So, 2008 or so. 2008's when Iron Man came out. So, let's see how the woke agenda, which started probably around, oh boy, what year did the last Sky... Let's say The Force Awakens, because that's when Rey's introduced. The Force Awakens, 2015. So let's start in 2015. 2015, The Force Awakens comes out. Their stock price continues to climb up until all-time highs in 2020. Captain Marvel comes out around here somewhere, and it goes up astronomically to all-time highs, and then COVID hits and it goes down. The woke agenda, as you called it, has not hurt Marvel at all. They're fine. They're one of the most profitable companies on the planet when there isn't a global pandemic going on. What delusional world do you live in where you think that Disney was struggling before COVID?
Claim that Disney is going to...
Daddy Sume says, I disagree, Hannah. His cognitive dissonance is too firmly entrenched. He will never admit he is wrong or actually understand that he was truly wrong. He will just keep along with his grift because that's all he can do.
Purge all the SJWs and cater to the fans. This seems too good to be true. The info comes from the future ruler of the earth, Overlord DVD, now Overlord YouTube, sorry. Excellent YouTube channel, really cool character, and he...
Not an excellent YouTube channel, it's really cringe.
He's been right.
In fact, we should probably check out some of his videos on stream sometime. It'd be a good time to laugh at his ridiculousness.
A lot. He basically got everything right about the rise of Skywalker. He
got it right not because of an inside source, but because it leaked. Everyone had that information who was looking for it. I had that information prior to release. It was publicly released on, like, Reddit and 4chan. That's very different than him saying, I have a secret source inside Disney, which is what he's claiming here. Everyone had access to the Rise of Skywalker leaks. Everyone. He does not get to claim the monopoly on that when it was publicly available. Hell, Burger King was doing a promo in Germany where they were writing spoilers to the Rise of Skywalker on stuff. Do you remember that? Burger King. Rise of Skywalker spoilers. They were doing this promotion, the Spoiler Whopper, where, like, oh, the video got removed, that sucks. But, like, if you went in or something, and if you went in and told them a Rise of Skywalker spoiler, you'd get, like, a free Whopper. Like, I'm not even kidding. This was a thing. This is a thing that they did. It was very interesting. Ah, the video's unavailable. That sucks. It was a really funny video. Anyway. No one gets to say, oh, and he knew all the things that were going to happen in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, so did everyone who was looking for it. It was on the internet.
Right. many times.
Daddy Sume, cater to fans is code for me. Cater to me. Yeah, because they're completely incapable of understanding that people who are different from them can also be fans and like things for different reasons than they like them. Logarth, thanks for continuing your 3-month subscription streak.
As, with Star Wars stuff. Now, who's been providing information on how Star Wars will get fixed and previously revealed information about problems with Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Okay.
None of which were ever substantiated. They were also, again, anonymous sources in Disney. Which, how this random YouTuber somehow has a source in Disney that no one else has. He never explains, as far as I know. What a grift, though. What a fun grift. You get to come on, bait incels with your clickbait titles that are complete lies. Get their money. Not bad.
Quote.
That's the twist. I'm secretly that YouTuber all along. He wears like a helmet. Secretly, it's me, and I just use a voice changer.
Hollywood is indeed a woke wasteland
playing both sides.
And out of that wasteland, a new hope has suddenly appeared. The YouTuber does note that the information does sound too good to be true, but the info comes from a high-level source. Quote,
a high-level source. By the way, did I tell you my uncle works at Nintendo? And he told me that there's going to be a super-duper Nintendo. It's going to be like a Super Nintendo, but it's even better. It's going to be 128 bits. It's got blast processing. For real, guys, my uncle works at Nintendo, I swear.
According to the source, that has been reliable in the past. The stuff that is about to hit
They, of course, don't cite how they've been reliable. What have they gotten right? Please. You had links to other articles earlier. Surely, if there were articles where you're like, wow, look at this prediction this person had, you would link them here, right? Because it would validate the fact that this source is legitimate and not just someone making things up. Seems like, by the fact that you have no actual sources on when he's been reliable, seems like you're just saying that. Weird.
The fan at Disney, says Doomcock. I am told that getting the SJWs out of Disney is now priority 1, mandated by the sudden realization that sometimes cliches are cliches for a reason.
I'm trying to imagine a world that these people think exists where crusty old businessmen and women at Lucasfilm or at Disney even know what SJW is or means. I don't know if y'all know this, but if you're not an internet weirdo or under the age of 30, no one else knows what an SJW is. It's not a word that gets used in real life. Like, ever. Even Trump, who's like the biggest a-hole in America, doesn't get up there and go, I gotta tell you, we're having problems with the social justice warriors. I'm telling you, they're the worst. They're the worst. We gotta go out and we gotta own the social justice warriors. I saw Captain Marvel. It was awful. The Skrulls, the worst. The Skrulls are supposed to be evil. Why are the Skrulls not evil? Stupid. Logarth with 10 bits. Haha, you know what's funny? One kid in my school was like, my dad works at Nintendo, I get all the games from Japan. And everyone was like, haha, yeah, right. Turns out that guy's dad did work at Nintendo and he had a ton of Japanese MAME and Super Nintendo consoles and a ton of demo cards from the Nintendo with 700 games that later went to be made into real games. Wow, you had the one kid in your school who wasn't lying about that. Every kid in America had a kid in their school like that, and you had the one that was telling the truth. Stone Corbell. My dad said alt-left the other day. I'm just waiting for him to pick up SJW from somewhere. Guess that means I'm an internet weirdo? Hey, if you're here, you're definitely an internet weirdo. The jury's in on that one.
And a new understanding at the highest level that you get woke, go broke. Whoa, he said it! He said it!
It's like bait. It's like the guy writing this article is like, well, I get more clicks. I get more clicks when I mention Jeremy. Or I get more clicks when Jeremy references my site. I better put this in here. to bait Jeremy into making a video about this so I get more clicks. It's just grifting all the way down.
It's no longer...
Oh, holy crapperino. Antipodian Squid, thank you for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You have no idea. Woo! That's awesome.
Just a slogan. Yes, you heard me, right? As incredible as it sounds, my source boldly claims that Disney is now only concerned with one thing: profitability. Well,
Disney's always been concerned with profitability. They're a company.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Antipodian Squid, being so close to your sub goal was bugging me. Yeah, and it didn't update all the way either. It only counted 4 of them. That's weird. What is going on with this sub goal thing? I'll manually fix it in a second. When we're done with this video, I'll manually fix it so it's correct. So we should be up to 104. I don't know why it's not counting all of them.
well, I can't imagine a time in which they weren't. The only way this is true is if Get Woke, Go Broke actually financially tracks, which in some cases it doesn't. There are absolutely companies like Ben & Jerry's that it doesn't seem to affect their sales, if anything, probably in a positive way. But there are absolutely other...
It hasn't affected Disney negatively. Again, Black Panther and Captain Marvel made so much money.
Other cases where it...
Sparrowhawk TV, thank you for subscribing at tier 1 for 2 months. I appreciate that.
Affects things negatively. He continues. The proclamation is about to be sent out to on high to every corner of the Enchanted Kingdom. Disney is a for-profit business moving forward, and from here on out, the customer comes first. The woke party is over because the mouse...
They understand that women are also customers, and people who aren't white are also customers, right? Do they not get that? I'm always confused by this. Like, they're like, customers. It's almost like they're using customers as like a dog whistle for like straight white dudes in their middle age. Like, you're not the only customers. You're not even their primary demographic they're going after.
Is awakened with a terrible hangover, and it's a new day at Disney. My source tells me that a huge policy changes are about to be made at Disney. Bad-mouthing fans, no matter what they say or what side they're on, will no longer be tolerated. Wow. I mean, look,
There's nothing funny about the
I don't have any problem with big-name actors punching down to address a particular hater or a comment or something. That they should be able to do that. It's these blanket statements about toxic fans and this and that that turn...
Jeremy, you're a toxic fan. You're literally who's being talked about when people talk about toxic fans. It's you. The call was coming from inside the house. Oh, this was the Burger King ad, yeah. It's from, like, Germany, I think.
Also wirklich richtig. Wir freuen uns sehr auf den neuen Film.
Sind Fans bereit, ihren Lieblingsfilm zu spoilern,
Fans willing to spoil their favorite movie for a free meal at Burger King. I've been avoiding spoilers all year long. Guys, and then it's like an FU. The more I order, the more I get to know. So they get like a free Whopper or something for every spoiler that gets told to them. That makes sense. That's funny. Burger King.
Meinst du, der junge Bösewicht wechselt zur hellen Seite, nachdem ihn die junge Schwertfrau besiegt hat, Wopper?
Mhm, den meine ich. Die Eltern der jungen Schwertfrau wurden im Auftrag des alten Kapuzenbösewichts getötet, Coca-Cola.
Nein, da steht auch was! Nein, weil die junge Schwertfrau ist die Enkelin des alten Kapuzenbösewichts Menü. Darf es noch ein Getränk bei euch sein? Nur wenn das keinen Namen hat.
Oh, komm schon.
Der junge Bösewicht stirbt.
Oh Gott, hier steht auch was drauf.
Auf dem Strohhalm?
There's even spoilers on the straws.
Und noch einmal, das haare gebrüllende Tier wird versehentlich von der jungen Schwertfrau getötet, doch überlebt Onion Rings.
So everyone had these spoilers. They got posted online. Alright, let me see if I can fix this. $100, 104. That's what we should be at, and end at 8:30. 31, 2020. Subscriber goal. Start goal. Oh, yeah. 100. Start goal. There you go. Now it should be fixed. Sorry about that. Thank you to everyone who helped me reach my sub goal for this month, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Turns off people in droves. If it were me, I would probably have a company policy that says, no, you cannot engage with customers because it always looks bad. Engage with them in a negative light. But I understand the inclination to. No matter what is said, or no one will be and will no longer be tolerated. That goes for everyone that works at Disney, including Brie Larson, including the Lucasfilm Story Group, and everyone that Kathleen Kennedy has hired. He goes on to give an example of people at Disney attacking fans, including Ryan Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, and Brie Larson, and Taika Waititi. Quote, I've been told explicitly that even someone like Brie Larson will no longer...
Antipodian Squid, a much more satisfying sub bar. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for helping me get to the goal. You have no idea. It's why this show happens, so I appreciate it.
...be able to work at Disney if she takes shots at fans. The slack attitude and tacit support implied by silence that embolden these woke wonders to hijack a corporate message and subvert corporate profits is no more.
Subvert corporate profits by raising them to the highest heights they've ever been at. Boy, would someone please subvert me that way? That'd be great.
The Lucasfilm Story Group will no longer be empowered to humiliate Luke Skywalker, to strike a blow against the patriarchy.
Malice, thanks for subscribing.
No more Nick Fury be humiliated by having a cat take his eye. Get woke, go broke is a phrase that resonates with Disney now.
I guarantee no one on Disney's boards has heard that phrase. It's not something that's common parlance. Jeremy, you're being baited by the person who wrote this article and the person who made the original YouTube video into covering this, because they know that when you talk about them, they get more clicks. You are being baited, Jeremy.
And positive changes are on the way if the leak.
She's not taking shots at fans. She simply said she wants more minority voices in reviews. Yep.
Is true. Regarding why Disney is changing things, it's explained. Economic realities of 2020, coupled with the decline in returns on properties like Star Wars, have combined to sober executives up. They realize that fans have been driven away from their precious franchises in droves by identity politics.
Not really. Again, they've posted record profits up until COVID hit, at which point every company that relied upon the public going to see things with a bunch of other people around them, whether they be restaurants that are sit down or, and even worse, honestly, because even like an Applebee's, you can do like the car side to go thing. You know, they were still making some money. Disney straight up had to be like, oh, our parks, which you need to be at in person, you can't order a Disneyland park to your house, you know? And the same with movies. They could release stuff on Disney Plus. I think they're even planning on doing so for Mulan, except you have to have a Disney Plus subscription and pay like $20, which I'm not doing. At least not. I'll amend that. If they were to release Black Widow on Disney Plus and it cost $20, I'd probably rent it. I'd prefer that over going to a theater. But either way, Disney's making no money right now, because all of their avenues of profit are closed, or if they are open at a severely reduced capacity.
Now it's time to get back to doing business. Time to...
Oh, it's $30? Ooh, that's a little much.
Remember the old adage, the customer is always right. Investors and executives are now trying to repair the damage that has been done, erasing the sequel trilogy with the Veil of the Force, courting George Lucas to head up Lucasfilm,
thank you for following.
The coming woke purge. All of these steps are designed to do one thing, and that is to bring fans back to Disney. Now, Disney is, he goes on to say that, by the way, check out his YouTube channel.
And the generation of new fans they've made with kids and little boys and girls who want to dress up as either like Poe Dameron or one of the other people, or little girls who want to go as Rey for Halloween. We're just going to spit in their faces and remove the movies that to them are Star Wars. That's a great business plan moving forward. Hey, remember the last 3 movies that you kids liked? They're gone now. Don't you want to see the adventures of 80-year-old Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker? No? Well, 40-year-olds who have nothing better to do than get drunk in their basement and pee on the floor, they certainly want it, and I guess they're our target demographic now for no reason.
Excellent. If you like this kind of leak information, he's become a guy that used to cover news, but now he's creating it. He says that Disney is well aware of what the fans think, which is something I was told last summer while at Comic-Con when I brought up the notion to Marvel insiders who filled me in on Doctor Strange 2, featuring original Marvel characters like the OG Nick Fury. Quote, they realized that allowing these woke elements to hijack
what? It's gonna involve the OG Nick Fury because it's a multiverse movie. For those of you who don't know, Doctor Strange 2 is called Doctor Strange 2 Into the Multiverse of Madness. It's being directed by, oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name? No one tell me. Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi, who did the original Spider-Man movies. He did the Evil Dead franchise. He's like a really fun director. He's done some really great stuff. I'm very excited for that movie. And that movie is going to involve Doctor Strange traveling throughout the Marvel multiverse. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get a reference to, like, the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. It's possible he'll pop into that universe because Sam Raimi directed those. We're going to see all sorts of different, Marvel multiverse stuff, which is a thing in the comics, and I'm excited that they're bringing it to the movies. So if white Nick Fury shows up, it's because it's in the multiverse. He's not replacing Sam Jackson Nick Fury. That would confuse a lot of people. 99% of people know Nick Fury as Samuel L. Jackson. And by the way, making it that version of Nick Fury isn't woke. It's just Samuel L. Jackson playing him. Who cares? That's what Ultimate Nick Fury looks like. If they all of a sudden replaced, like, Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury with some random white guy with an eye patch, everyone would be like, what? That doesn't make any sense, because it wouldn't. Wing the Ultimate Nug with 100 bits. If I want to get into Marvel, what movie and where should I get started? Oh, you haven't seen the Marvel movies. Hold on. I can help you out. MCU movies. In order. Okay, you're gonna want to watch... No, that's chronological. I want, like, in order they came out. Sorry. So you want to watch Iron Man first, which is still a good movie. It holds up. It's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It's really good. The Incredible Hulk came out right after that. That's the one with the guy from Fight Club as Bruce Banner. I forget his name. You could probably skip that one. It's not that great. And also they retcon it later, so he doesn't even play the Incredible Hulk later. And they basically... I think you know who the Hulk is. You don't necessarily need to sit through Incredible Hulk. Ed Norton, yeah. You can watch it either now or later if you want, but, like, it's not necessary. You don't have to watch that one. Iron Man 2, which isn't quite as good, but still it ties into, like, the Avengers, so you should watch that. Thor, so you can get who Thor is and what his deal is. Captain America the First Avenger, which is good. And then Marvel's Avengers. So I'd look at this Wikipedia article, and at least for the first phase here, the one you can skip is Incredible Hulk, but the rest I'd watch in that order. A lot of these are on Disney Plus, by the way. Not all of them, but many of them. Then there's Iron Man 3. Thor the Dark World sucks. If you want to skip Thor the Dark World, you probably can. Just know that... Just, like, look up a Wikipedia summary of Thor the Dark World. You don't need to watch it. It's boring. Captain America the Winter Soldier is great. Definitely watch that. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best Marvel movies, so definitely check that out. Then we get the second Avengers movies, Age of Ultron. Not as good as the first Avengers, but I thought it was okay. And then Ant-Man. Ant-Man, you could probably skip if you don't want to. If you don't want to watch it. It's a little lighter, but it's fun. It's just more comedy-focused. It doesn't have a lot of, like, heavy plot stuff. At least that doesn't come up until later. Then Civil War, which is necessary. You have to watch Civil War. It's basically an Avengers movie. And plot details are relevant for later. Watch Doctor Strange, that's good. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, definitely watch. Spider-Man Homecoming, for sure watch. Thor Ragnarok, watch, it's great. Black Panther's great. Infinity War's great. Ant-Man and the Wasp, you could probably skip, but, you know, check it out. If you've gotten through, like, these movies at this point, and you're looking at Ant-Man and the Wasp, probably just watch it. Captain Marvel's good, check it out. It'll give you a backstory on Captain Marvel, and she shows up in Endgame. Then we have Endgame and Far From Home. And then we have these ones upcoming, but... yeah, the Marvel movies are a lot of fun. You know, they're not high art. They're not gonna change your life. They're not, like, the best movies ever made. But they're really, really fun, entertaining superhero movies that do justice to the characters. So definitely check it out.
Projects. A tremendous amount of damage has been done.
That is true. In Thor: The Dark World, Christopher Eccleston is the villain, although you'd barely know. And it's not Eccleston's fault. The villain just sucked. The writing was bad in that one.
Precious brands, and they cannot allow this to continue. The executives have heard you. According
favorite Sam Raimi Spider-Man film? Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 for sure.
To a source, they are determined to reverse course, says...
you were hoping to wait until they reboot? Oh, they're not rebooting the MCU anytime soon. Yeah, I linked the wiki, I think, didn't I? I'll link it again if you want it. They're not going to reboot it anytime soon. You don't have to watch them if you don't want to. They're just fun, you know?
Overlord DVD. I don't know if I can say his name. I don't want to get yellowed. The new policy moving forward is one of fan support and acceptance. Disney is a for-profit, and no one who works at Disney... By the way, this is also covered on Cosmic Book News, which is kind of another rumor website, but...
At least he's acknowledging it's all BS. It's just a rumor website, Jeremy. It's not real, but you made a 14-minute video about it because you know your desperate fans are going to click on it because they're like, I don't like Rey. I want him to make her disappear.
But at least I know Overlord DVD or Overlord has been reliable in the past. Let's hope that this policy...
The thing you cited as being reliable was spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker, which everyone had.
Presumably coupled with exclusion of political agenda from future productions, although this was not specified, will bring fans back into the Disney fold. I mean, I don't know. It's funny. Let's just pretend. Let's just stick together. Let's all just be happy that this is even a possibility. By
it's not a possibility. You're being lied to. Stop lying to your followers, Jeremy. You know this isn't going to happen.
The like button. Leave a happy, positive, Patty comment in the comment section down below. And let's just, rumors are just that. They're rumors. I think that. I don't think that there's going to be a pink slip that goes out that says, "Oh, is your hair blue? And do you have, pronouns in your bio? Oh, you're fired." I don't think that's going to happen.
No! Telling people what your pronouns are? What a nightmare! What is with these people? They're such snowflakes. Pronouns in bio! Ah! Grow up, guys. The reason people put pronouns in bio is for one of two reasons. Firstly, often people who are trans will do so. I don't because I'm already real short on space in my bio on Twitter. I used to, but I don't anymore just so I can fit other stuff in there. But people who are trans will often do that so they don't get misgendered. And secondly, a lot of people put them in their pronouns in their bio to show solidarity with trans people and to normalize the practice. Pretty simple. So if you're like, pronouns in bio, you're basically just saying fuck trans people. So maybe stop.
I see them having a policy that is kind of against arguing with fans. Yes. That hasn't been the biggest problem with Disney. Part of the problem with Disney is bending the knee to the CCP in China. That's been a huge turnoff for fans. It's hiring actors.
Welcome to America, where capitalism dictates that the people who pay you money get to decide what your messaging is. So if it's China, yeah, they're gonna do awful stuff. That's kind of a symptom of capitalism.
actors and actresses based on the color of their skin and their gender rather than their suitability for the particular role.
The thing is, no matter who the person is, people like you, Jeremy, if the person's like a person of color or if they're a woman or whatever, you always assume it's because of that instead of because they were the best for the role. It's like you inherently think if they cast a woman or a minority, they must only have been picked for that reason, because it's like you're incapable of understanding that the best person for the role might just be a woman, might just be someone who's part of a racial minority group. Can you get past that? Can you understand that white dudes aren't inherently the best at everything? Because it's kind of telling that that's how you frame it every time. ZTDVI, thank you for your 2-month streak. Keep on kicking ass and taking names. Thank you.
I mean, I definitely think there are better people to play Captain Marvel, but, you know, there are better people to play the Incredible Hulk, too. I never really liked Mark Ruffalo. Maybe that's just...
Oh, I like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I think he's good. I think he plays a good Bruce Banner. I'll put it this way. I think he plays a good Bruce Banner. I'm questionable on the smart Hulk thing they've done in the more recent movies. I get that's a thing in the comics. I know that happens in the comics, but I prefer Bruce Banner and the Hulk to be separate entities. So, I think he plays a really good Bruce Banner. He's affable. He's kind of timid. At least at times, he gets out of his shell a little bit more as the series goes on. And he's just sort of, like, vulnerable, and then Hulk is, like, this crazy, you know, animalistic monster. I like that. I think Mark Ruffalo does a good job.
Because I don't like him IRL, and I've never been able to separate those two things.
Oh, literally, it's for political reasons. Jeremy doesn't like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner because he's politically liberal. Oh no, Mark Ruffalo said something bad about Trump. I don't like the Hulk now.
He's better than Edward Norton was, probably. But
oh, see, I didn't like Edward Norton's random guy 2324 Reels says I liked Edward Norton better. I didn't like Edward Norton in the Hulk very much. I didn't buy him as Bruce Banner. He always seemed, I don't know, he seemed too in control, and that's just because it's Edward Norton, and I don't like that. With Ruffalo, I always get the feeling that he's just barely hanging on to control of himself, whereas Norton, I always felt like he was very calculating, and he was very, you know, oh, I am the Hulk, I am Bruce Banner, I need to stay calm, I'm meditating,
It's fun to dream. Dream a little dream with me, my friends.
Who do I think portrays the best Peter Parker? Probably the guy who's him now. I forget his name off the top of my head. Whatever his name is. I think the current one plays the best Peter Parker. I think he plays the best, how do I put this? Overall Spider-Man. Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think Tobey Maguire played a pretty good Peter Parker, but he wasn't very good as Spider-Man. Does that make sense? Like, he had the nerdy, reserved, I work for the Daily Bugle thing down, but when he put the mask on, I never got Spider-Man from him. Spider-Man's supposed to be very quippy and, like, I don't know, and I never got that from him. And then Andrew Garfield, those movies were not very good and the scripts were terrible. But, like, he played an okay Spider-Man, but his Peter Parker was just ridiculous, and he was trying to be this, like, I'm cool, I skateboard, I'm cool Peter Parker, which completely misses the point. But current guy, Tom Holland, he, I think, does good in both, and I think the writing's a little bit better in terms of characterization. The Sam Raimi movies a lot of people like better. I don't. I like the MCU ones better, because I think it better fits who Spider-Man is, but, you know.
Enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
So yeah, Jeremy literally just fan fictioning with his fans. Very strange. Very, very strange. Where did that video just go? I actually wanted to look at the comments. Wait, did he remove? He didn't remove the video, did he? Where is it? No, it's right here. Okay. Look at the comments. I'm very concerned for what the comments are going to be. Disney want to make money. Sorry, too late. Disney's always wanted to make money. He's got a "Don't Tread on Me" flag as his icon. Disney, don't tread on me with your female superheroes. Oh, they think the solution to repeatedly spitting in their customers' faces is simply to stop spitting. No one spit in your face. What universe do you people live in? Never forgive, never forget. They went dark. They get no business. Ridiculous. So that's the quartering. Tom Holland came to my movie theater with Zendaya to see Spider-Man in the very back after the lights went down. He only stayed for like 30 minutes before they left, but I served him a Corona and a bowl of cheese fries and a barbecue chicken pizza for Zendaya. That's weird. I wonder why he only stayed for half an hour. Not reading the comments is self-care. True. You like the Raimi ones a bit more, but I want to see what Disney does with the third Spidey movie. Yeah, I get that. The Spider-Man movies from Raimi are certainly, I don't know, they're a little too grandiose for me. I've never seen Spider-Man as this grandiose, like, world-saving hero or whatever, or even necessarily like, I'm going to save all of New York, although there are certainly comic books where that happens. I more see him as, you know, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I see him as solving, you know, bank robberies and stopping petty thievery. But, you know. Alright, let's see what the wheel says. Maybe one more and then we'll probably call it a night. Oh, Flat Earth. Okay, we'll do that in a sec. What was my thought on Venom 2018? Never saw, but clips online and thought they were cool. I didn't like it. I really didn't like Venom. And I really want the rest of the Spider-Man, like, Sony movies, spin-off movies, like Venom 2, and they're doing the vampire one, Mordo. No, not Mordo. What's his name? Whatever the stupid vampire Jared Leto movie is. I really want it to fail, because I want them to just straight up sell the rights back to Marvel, because Sony makes awful movies most of the time. In fairness, they did make Into the Spider-Verse, which was great, but their live-action Spider-Man movies have not been very good outside of the Raimi movies. Daddy Sume says, I get that, but it's still far more memorable. You remember the Raimi movies? There was so much quotable stuff in there. Can you say that about the second version? The one with the spiky-haired kids? The one with, like, Andrew Garfield? I didn't like the Andrew Garfield movies. I think the Raimi movies are fine for the early 2000s, but I don't think they've aged well. Like, I think if you show kids the Raimi Spider-Man movies now, they're gonna be, I don't know. I think they're gonna be confused why Iron Man isn't showing up. Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Antipodian Squid, 100-bit. Spider-Verse was amazing. It really was. Hey, if Sony wants to keep making animated Spider-Man movies, I'm all for it. Leave the live action to Marvel, Disney, please. What did we get? Flat Earth? Oh, boy. Alright, we got this guy again. Should we do this guy that we looked at yesterday or Nathan Thompson? What do you guys think? Didn't they confirm they're making a second Spider-Verse? I think so, yeah. Thompson. Nathan's winning. Nathan's gonna win. Okay, let's see what Nathan's most popular videos are. Dead air. Christian with NASA shirt. Flat gets flat smacked. Oh, God. Flat smacking. Christian with NASA shirt gets questions answered. Nathan Thompson.
So I'm walking into the grocery store yesterday and I see this gentleman wearing a NASA shirt, and I felt inspired to turn on my camera, tell him about Flat Earth, and record the interaction. Here's that video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and shout out to everyone who supports the channel.
Dude, we're so woke now.
Trigger you. Question.
Yep.
Not trying to like piss you off or trigger you.
Alright.
You ever met a flat earther?
I have not. Well, actually, one of my friends is flat Earth.
Yeah.
But I haven't really talked to him about it.
So I got the nope. You got the NASA.
I know. I saw that. If you want to get a pic, I mean.
Well, I want to take a video because I like. Why do you wear a NASA shirt if you know about flat Earth?
Because you can know about something and know it's stupid. I know about Flat Earth, but I have a NASA sweatshirt. It's a cool sweatshirt. It's like an old NASA logo, and it's got like a rainbow coming off of the space shuttle. It's very cool. I'll wear it sometime on stream. I don't know if I have. Because most people who hear about Flat Earth are like, oh, that's ridiculous, and they move on with their lives, and they're correct for doing so.
I know you're not a flat earther.
I'm not a flat earther.
But
it's because I was in a Squadron 17 in the Corps Cadets, and they honor the 7 astronauts that passed away.
Wow, that's not the answer I was expecting. This guy was in some branch of the armed forces that is paying respect to people who have lost their lives in NASA, in space missions, and he's wearing this shirt. Didn't expect that one, did you, Nathan? Claire the Egg, thanks for continuing your subscription for the 3rd month.
On a Challenger mission. That's why I wore that shirt.
yeah, so what if I told you all those astronauts are still alive?
Oh no, Nathan, stop.
And that nobody actually died, and that you were honoring a false flag.
I would think you're crazy. But...
Right on. Well, they all have Facebooks. You can look them up. One of them's a Yale professor. And a lot of them didn't even change their name.
This is a thing. Flat Earthers found some people with the same names as some of the astronauts who died in the Challenger explosion. And being the ghouls that they are, they went and found pictures, and there happens to be someone that they think looks like the same person with a similar name. I don't think so. I think they're similar in the fact that they like are both brunette or something, but other than that, they're quite a bit different. And they're like, see, they're still alive, and they like harass this like person, even though it's not the same person who died, obviously. It's really messed up stuff. Logarth with 10 bits. Then I would punch you in the face, sir. Neil Armstrong.
So I could send you a picture of who they were then and who they are now, of 7 out of the 8 or 6 out of the 7 astronauts.
Let's see if I can find it real quick. Flat Earthers say Challenger explosion hoax? Not video, images? Here we go. Challenger deception. Oh no, where is it? It's got lost in the page. This is on Pinterest. Oh god, Pinterest often makes you like sign up for an account. I don't want to do that. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. So we have this guy and this guy who look a little bit alike, but they're not the same person. We have this guy and this guy who have entirely differently shaped heads. Their head shape isn't even the same. We have this guy and this guy who, again, look different. I get it. Some people look a little similar to each other, but again, these are not the same person. These two people don't even look a little bit alike, and they're claiming this is the same person because they have the same name. So because they have the same name, even though they don't even look like each other, they're like, this is the same person! And why would they, by the way? Why would they? Oh, is this person's relative? Ellison and Claude Onizuka? They look alike because they're related. They're probably brothers or cousins or something if they have the same last name. Even if not, people sometimes have the same last name and can look alike. Sharon Krista McGall? I don't know how to say her name. And then this is a professor with the same name. Why would they change some of their names? Like, this person would have had to just change their first name. Why would they only change their first name? Whereas this person has a completely different name. This person has the same name as this person, even though and they look a little bit alike, but why wouldn't they change his name? Same with this lady. So what, they gave her plastic surgery to look like an entirely different person, but they gave her the same exact name? Not very consistent. These two don't look alike at all. Again, their head shapes are completely different. They just happen to have the same name. And this is Ronald McNair and Carl McNair, brother of Ronald McNair. So literally they're looking at his brother and going like, he doesn't really have a brother, it's secretly him! Like, no, it's just his brother and they have a family resemblance. Jesus. You people are deranged. Like, can you... This is like a step away from like... It's not quite like Sandy Hook denialism, but it's up there. There's like a legit disaster that happened and all these people died tragically. And you're gonna stand here and make up lies about how you think they're still alive? Knock it off, you assholes. Logarth with 10 bits. We should prove the flat earth is wrong to these people by launching them into orbit, preferably via very large catapult.
I know where they are right
but
now.
Bill Hicks is Alex Jones, right? Oh my god, that's my favorite conspiracy theory. Bill Hicks. Alex Jones. I don't know if anyone else has heard this theory. But some people are like, Alex Jones is secretly Bill Hicks, who faked his own death and has been doing a performance to pretend to be this Alex Jones character for the last whoever knows how many years. They're like, this is an Andy Kaufman-esque character he's been doing. Secretly. It's not the case, but I wish it was. Wouldn't it be nice if it turned out Alex Jones was just a character being played by Bill Hicks? That'd be nice.
Where they were. A NASA employee 3 days ago over here at PetSmart said he's going to punch me in the mouth if I started recording him.
I mean, I don't mind if you record me.
Yeah, well, that's cool. We're in public, so
yeah.
I'll record people if I want to. But
he already agreed. You don't have to be like, well, I'll record you if I want anyway. All right, Nathan. Calm down.
He said he was going to punch me in my mouth if I did a lawful act, if I just recorded him. So would you agree that is pretty ridiculous? Because it's my right to record in public. Even if you don't want to be...
I would say it's ridiculous if he's trying to punch you in the face.
Yeah, I agree. So I got upset with him. The video's on my YouTube if you want to check it out. But NASA is lying about space. And I'll just ask you one question, I'll let you get going. I know you probably got cold food. And you've been super cool.
Checked out, yeah.
You've been super cool. The only barrier from the truth is the preconceived notion you already have. So if you think 2 + 2 is 5, and I say it's 4,
YMS would have a 13-part video over 30 years if Kaufman did that? Are you conflating Andy Kaufman with Charlie Kaufman? Because they're not the same person.
Never believe it's 4, right?
Because I know YMS does the review of Synecdoche, New York, which is a Charlie Kaufman film, which is excellent if you haven't seen it. But Andy Kaufman is a different guy than Charlie Kaufman.
Believe it's 4, even though it is 4. So what I'm here to say is that NASA's taking space because you can't have gas pressure without a container. So the sky can't be a vacuum because the atmosphere is pressurized. The second law of thermodynamics is entropy. So if you put your hand on a hot stove, the heat moves to your hand.
Yes, but the reason the atmosphere sticks to the Earth is because of gravity. Gravity holds it to the Earth. There are answers to all of the things that you're saying, Nathan. You just choose to ignore them and pretend that it's a lie.
If you put gas pressure next to a vacuum, the gas pressure moves into the vacuum. That's just common sense. So to think that the sky is connected to a vacuum, but with no barrier,
Again, gravity holds the atmosphere to the Earth.
So how do you think the Earth is flat?
Well, there's no measurable convexity. Have you heard of hydrostatic?
There is, though, Nathan. There are formulas for the curvature of the Earth. Of course, it's going to be an average, but nonetheless, you can do it. I'm pretty sure it involves trigonometry, which I certainly can't do, and I know Nathan can't do it, but that doesn't mean that the formulas and measurements don't exist. They do.
No.
Okay, it's the property.
Science is my least favorite subject, so
It's
I
all
really
good.
don't know jack.
It's all good. Well,
I just
what
know
they teach
I
in school.
fly in a lot of airplanes.
Yeah.
And I mean, they end up in the same place, right?
Yeah, I know. You can fly over a flat Earth too. The FAA trains pilots on what's called a target generation facility. Have you heard of a target?
There's nothing
It's
funny
software,
about the
most
tools of
expensive software in the world for Earth.
Shylock says, my dad used to say to just let crazy people talk themselves out and then walk away. It looks like that's what the poor guy is doing with this nutty guy. Yeah.
There's a flat Earth that doesn't move. Now, if you get in an airplane and you fly east, is it faster than flying west? No, it takes...
Again, Nathan, I've explained this. It's specifically because you're moving with the Earth. The atmosphere which you are in, it's a medium that you are in. You and the atmosphere are moving with the Earth. You already have that momentum dialed into what you're doing. So you're not literally, like, the second you, like, stop touching the Earth doesn't continue to spin without you. You're still moving with it.
It's the same amount of time. I mean, there's a difference in jet streams and stuff.
The westerlies and the easterlies.
The wind.
Yeah, the wind.
But we're not incorporating Earth rotation.
Because you don't have to. Because you are moving with the Earth. It's like, I've shown this before, but I'll show it again. Trampoline on a truck. Conservation of momentum means that if you're moving in a certain direction, you will continue moving in that direction unless something stops you, whether it be friction or something else. So let's say Earth is this flatbed truck that's moving, and this person is an airplane traveling. The Earth is spinning, but even when the plane stops making contact with the Earth, it's still moving with the Earth because the momentum caused by being on the Earth that is rotating is conserved. Right? Does that make sense? Because in Nathan's worldview, basically the second this person stops making contact with the trampoline, he should fly backwards and hit the back of this wall. But that's not how physics works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
that's because it moves at such a slow rate in comparison.
it doesn't move at all in comparison. Sometimes there is no wind. Right? Sometimes there's no wind. So to say that the Earth is
The wind isn't caused by the rotation of the Earth, Nathan. It's caused by temperature differentials within the atmosphere.
that's just mind control. I'm trying to free you from it. Because I love you, Dan. I love you. I really do. And I've been testing this for 3 years. You asked me why I think it's flat.
I hate when people like this say they've been testing something. Really? Have you been testing it? How? Where did you get the knowledge as to how to test something? Do you have a degree in anything? Do you even know the steps of the scientific method if I asked you?
over 30 states, testing it.
Have you published a paper on your experiments that have been peer-reviewed?
I've been in over 18 countries.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my experience in travel at least, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Have you tested the surface of the Earth? No.
What do you mean tested the surface of the Earth?
I mean, not traveled, not pretended that that's proof of curvature, because it's not. You got in a plane, the airplane ascended, leveled out, and then descended. And the Earth did not rotate underneath the airplane. You already agreed the Earth doesn't rotate under airplanes.
Why am I sticky says if he was right, that would mean if I just jumped straight up in the air, I'd land in a totally different spot. Yeah, that's basically what he's positing. Antipodian Squid with 50 bits. If this video had been on Tuesday, I'd have gotten bingo.
Because you're in the airplane.
We're on the Earth, right?
We're on the Earth. So being on a ball that's spinning is not analogous to being in a closed container.
But with such a big Earth being as big as it is, there's no way you feel the movement.
It's not even about size, although partially that is the case in the sense that the Earth, they often say, like, it's 1,000 miles per hour spinning, whatever, which they're using linear velocity to measure rotational speed, which is not how you do that. You use rotational velocity. The rotational velocity of the Earth is that it makes one rotation every 24 hours. One rotation per day. That's very slow for it. It's a huge thing, right? Not only that, but you do not feel absolute speed. I am such a broken record on this, but you do not feel absolute speed. You could be going 1,000,000 miles per hour. But assuming you're already at that speed, if it is consistent, you won't feel like you're moving at all if there's no turbulence or change in acceleration. Or negative acceleration if we're talking about it decelerating. If you're on a bullet train in Japan, going hundreds of miles per hour, it doesn't feel like you're moving very fast because you're going a consistent speed. Only when you accelerate do you feel movement, and you're feeling that acceleration. Like if you hit the gas real hard on your car and it feels like you're getting pushed back into your seat. You're not feeling the motion, you're feeling the acceleration, and the reason you're feeling that is because you have a certain momentum. And the conservation of momentum states that objects at rest stay at rest, objects in motion stay at motion, and it tries to keep your momentum the same. So if you're being pushed forward by the back of your seat that's accelerating with the rest of the car, it's moving your momentum up to the speed of the car. You're basically being forced by the fact that you're making contact with it in order to change your speed. That's what you're feeling, is your momentum change, not the movement itself. There's no such thing as absolute movement. Like, I'm moving this, right? I'm moving this, like, nail stick thing. But how do you know I'm moving this? You know it because you can see everything around me, right? It's moving relative to this microphone, it's moving relative to that, it's moving to this thing, it's moving relative to my body. Movement is relative. It's always relative to some other object.
Well, you know, like, yes, there's...
What, just because it's big, you wouldn't feel 1,000 miles an hour? Who told you that?
Nathan, you don't feel it because the speed is constant. And it's also not 1,000 miles per hour because it's not moving linearly, it's rotating.
Who told you that?
Dude, how would that not make sense? If it's moving...
1,000 miles an hour is faster than the speed of sound.
This is a problem, too. Nathan sounds confident when he says things. He's like, 1,000 miles per hour. Explain that to me. And someone who has never looked into this before, because why would you? This isn't a disputed topic. It's not something that most people need to know necessarily, although it's good to know how the world works. You might not have an answer. And if someone like Nathan is standing in front of you and confidently saying, you're wrong, and they sound like they know what they're talking about. They make statements confidently, and you don't have the knowledge base to refute what they're saying. How do you know they're wrong? And that's a problem. I think that's a huge problem in this day and age. Confident people telling mistruths in such a way as to convince people they're right. It's a huge issue.
You get on a roundabout and you go 5 miles an hour, you feel it. It doesn't matter if the roundabout is going 5 miles an hour and the roundabout is as big as the entire city.
Thomas Zigo, thanks for following. Welcome to the stream.
There's no moving. You would be able to test it. My argument is not, do you feel the earth move? Nobody feels the earth move unless you're drunk. My argument is, you can't prove the earth moves scientifically. There's no test.
You can prove the earth moves, and they have. Even flat earth groups. Hold on. No, I can't show the clip. I'll get DMCA'd. Because I've done it before, and I get flagged on YouTube for using a clip from a movie. There's this movie on Netflix called Behind the Curve. Check it out. There's this group that I've looked at, and they have a YouTube channel as well. They're called Globe Busters. And this YouTube channel, this flat earth group, bought what's called a laser gyroscope. It costs $20,000. It's an expensive piece of equipment that can be used to measure tilt and stuff like that. It's a gyroscope. It just uses lasers, so it's very, very precise. And they wanted to use this laser gyroscope to prove that the Earth doesn't rotate. And they say, well, if the Earth rotated the way that science says it does, then we would expect to see a 15-degree-per-hour drift in terms of rotation, because it can, you know, detect that. It's a laser gyroscope. And what do you know? They spent $20,000 on this laser gyroscope, and when they started their test, they got exactly a 15-degree-per-hour drift. Now, of course, they're not scientists. They're in a cult, so they go, we can't accept that our hypothesis has been falsified. Let's make up a reason why the test didn't work. Oh, it's not detecting the Earth spinning, it's detecting the sky spinning, which doesn't even make sense. That's not how a laser gyroscope works. But they're like, it's detecting these heavenly energies, which isn't a thing. It's a thing they made up to try and explain this. So they put the thing in a special container that they thought would block these heavenly energies. And what do you know? Still detected a 15-degree-per-hour drift. So Nathan, there are many tests you can do to show that the Earth is spinning. Flat Earthers have done them. They've spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment to do so. And what do you know? It shows the Earth is round, or at the very least that it is rotating at 15 degrees per hour.
To prove the floor is spinning or blasting through space, that's just mind control.
To this day, they insist it's measuring the rotation of the sky. It's a gyroscope, though. It's measuring... It's like measuring its own movement in relation to... Oh, God.
I don't know enough about this subject.
What's your name? What's your name?
Tanner.
I'm Nathan.
All right.
Can I give you a flyer? I got him in my car. Let me give you one. And you go home with it. Just take a look at it. I'm going to grab one for you, Tanner. All right. Thanks for watching. Love you guys.
Jesus.
Wow, quick update. I just gave Tanner both flyers, and he's a Christian. And I told him, well, your Bible says test all things and hold fast to that which is true. And he says, you're right. It does.
Daddy Sume with a bit. Nope, that's all manufactured with the conspiracy. They would never let equipment that could break the seal.
So, guys, service to many leads to greatness. We need to get out there, and sharing is caring. For all you know, you're talking to robots on Facebook and Instagram. They might not even be real people, and you're over there trying to tell them about the characteristics of water and experiments that have been done, and you're not even talking to a real person.
Honestly, this is complete conspiracy BS, what I'm about to say. So I don't necessarily think this is true. But we all know at this point that Russia has, like, disinformation campaigns, and they do a lot of work to try and, like, sow political disinformation and stuff like that online. If in, like, 20 years it came out that the pilot program for this, to see how effectively they could spread disinformation, was that they tried to spread flat Earth, like, as an experiment, just to show, like, how ridiculous can we get with these claims that we can get groups of people to start to believe? And they started with flat Earth, and this is the result. I wouldn't be shocked even a little bit. I'd be like, that makes so much sense.
So, get some flyers in some people's hands. NathanPPL@yahoo.com if you need to order them. I love you guys. Peace.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please share if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Of course it sounded so berserk, but who was I to question it? Keep it tall.
Nathan. Oh, Patreon. He has a Patreon? Oh, God. I'm scared to see what his Patreon is up to. Oh, thank God. He only makes $82 a month from Patreon. It's still too much, but it's less than I thought it would be. Anyway, let's see who we can raid. The Serfs. The Serfs are doing something.
We're kind of waiting for the RNC to start.
Okay, he's about to do the RNC, so we'll raid Lance over at the Surfs. Hopefully, it's a good stream. I'm not going to watch, because I can't watch the RNC. That stuff's just going to drive me nuts. But I hope you guys have a good time. Thanks so much for coming to the stream. Tomorrow we'll be back for more. I'm not sure exactly what we'll be doing. It's a Thursday, so it's kind of whatever I want to do. Maybe it'll be a Cringe stream. Maybe it'll be something else. You can always follow me on Twitter, at Hannah Reloaded. You can always go to my YouTube channel. Link in the chat. That's where I post... Oops. YouTube. That's where I post all my streams as an archive and also all my stream highlights. If you're only interested in one topic that I cover, whether it be like conspiracies or like the quartering Chuds stuff, whatever. Thanks everyone for getting me to my August sub goal, by the way. I really appreciate that. So let's do the raid. Raid the Surfs TV. Verkanon, thanks for continuing your sub 4-month streak. Nice. Chat is valid. You're all wonderful people. Have a wonderful evening.